Okay, welcome everyone to the 62nd Cache Knowledge Seekers Workshop. It's Thursday, May 21st, 2015, and we're ready to hear from Guy today with Guy's presentation. And first we'll hear from Mr. Keshe at the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, and he'll fill us in on any latest news before we go on to the presentation. Okay, Mr. Keshe, are you there and ready?
Yes, are you going to put the commercial video on?
I'm sorry, yes, I need to start with the promo video here first. Let's complete that.
But before you start the promo video, we have to remind you that the online teaching is accepted at all times. So when you see that the course has started on the 4th of May, you can join anytime, sign in anytime for online teaching. So it does not stop. You can even join late into master degree if you like to, or we join in the October session.
Okay, maybe you can re-mention that after the video as well, just so people
okay, that's
understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's begin with the promotional video for the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute.
Where does humanity go from here? What have we tried to do? What if there is more, much more? The Keshe Foundation is proud to announce a new way to bring humanity forward through technology that brings humanity in line with the natural operation of the planet and universe itself. The new science and technology discovered and developed by the nuclear engineer Moran Keshe centers upon the use and control of magnetico-gravitational fields. This new body of knowledge opens the road to hundreds of potential applications, which offer solutions to most of the fundamental problems of the world, such as water, food, environmental contamination, and shortages of energy. The Keshe Foundation is proud to unveil the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Nestled amidst the beautiful shores of Bari, Italy, the Institute is poised to become a central hub in the spreading of plasma technology and knowledge. With its state-of-the-art 21st century facilities, the Institute will be able to provide students and staff an immersive way to learn the plasma technology, to be the leaders of the new generation of scientists and plasma engineers. The Keshe Foundation has opened the door to the world for peaceful usage of technology that is independent of the limited resources that are available on Earth. This is an understanding of how everything works together in harmony in our universe, and it applies to everything from the smallest to the biggest, from atoms to galaxies. We all are able to collectively work together in pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and solutions for our society. This learning environment is new to the world, where there will be no test to confirm your understanding. The knowledge of everyone will be respected and allowed to flourish in a nurturing environment. Hands-on testing and experimenting will be widely used in conjunction with roundtable discussions to bring all opinions and knowledge forward. Students will be introduced to a change in the ethos of working in collaboration. Students will experience firsthand how we share knowledge in a free and open manner. Graduating students are expected to share the knowledge they gain from the university within their respective communities and nations. All formal teachings, lectures, and presentations will be in the English language, with technology available for immediate translation. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be offering 3-year executive master programs for undergraduate degree students and 1-year executive master programs for graduate degree students in the following fields: space transportation, new plasma technology, health, agriculture, materials, energy. The health section is designed to make students able to live in space without the need to return to Earth. To this end, the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute has found processes for many diseases including ALS, cancer, coma, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis. Cash Foundation Spaceship Institute will offer online teaching courses which will enable anyone, anywhere around the world to enroll and increase their knowledge and understanding. Students will have the opportunity to direct their work towards commercial spin-offs and seek funding through the help of the Cash Foundation. The access to the new science and new technologies is openly available for peaceful use to the benefit of mankind to make a better world today. Now you can be part of the changing world and the new knowledge. All commercial spin-offs are intended to be open source and patent-free. This is part of the core ethos of the Cash Foundation and the Cash Foundation Spaceship Institute. Cash Foundation Spaceship Institute will have its official inauguration on April 21st, 2015, with courses commencing soon after on May 4th, 2015. The students of the Cash Foundation Spaceship Institute will be the leaders of the future who will make changes in all areas of space technology, science, medicine, agriculture, and energy. Anyone is able to apply, but acceptance is through invitation only. No prerequisites are required. We will be accepting approximately 250 students for the 3-year Executive Master's Program and 120 students for the 1-year Executive Master's Program. We welcome humanity's participation in the knowledge of the Cash Foundation Spaceship Institute. Where does humanity go from here? That is up to you. Apply today.
Okay, that was the Cash Foundation promotional video. And now we're going to hear back from Mr. Cash. We need the camera there, Vince. Let's see.
I am here still. Can you hear me?
Yes, we need Mr. Cash's camera, though. Vince, how can we get that back up here? Let me see. Should select teacher camera.
You there. Okay, can we fire? Can we start rolling?
There we are. Okay, I see now. Thank you. So we got Mr. Cash available now to speak before Guy's presentation.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Good morning, good day, wherever you are, as usual, and when and whatever time you watch this recording. Today's teaching is actually as the normal workshop. We do our natural way of doing things, which we announce if there are any announcements, and then we listen to Guy because he was left from last week to do his presentation. This week we have a number of little but some significant announcements. If you remember, today's 21st of May. Exactly 4 weeks ago, we had a celebration of opening the Institute with the members of the Cash Foundation's and core team on 21st of April. In 30 days, a lot has happened, and we have opened teaching sessions. We are on the 3rd week, which has become and was part of the whole structure of the teaching freely, unconditionally, and now we have managed to achieve our goal. But we are taking this a step further, as in the last week's announcements I mentioned. We try by the 64th teaching, which is 2 weeks from today, to make the teachings on daily basis available to everyone across the world. What this means, if you are a knowledge seeker on a full-time basis, you still receive it. But if you want to do or come to 1 or 2 sessions and see if it's good for you, or you want to learn and meet with certain conditions that we are introducing or teaching, you can join us for 1 day, 1 session, or join us according to the days and times you have. This has been done for 2 conditions. First of all, People who are interested in certain topics, they can join on the days they like and not necessarily every day. And secondly, we gradually start inviting, joining communication and teachings with other institutes and organizations. So this gives us a chance. For example, if you are interested in space technology, when we link up with Iran Spaceship Institute in Tehran, we can have you live on, be announced in advance. You can join us on the teachings. Then when we do it with others, we expect collaboration and teachings with the Italian military groups of Navy and Army, if it's allowed by the high-ranking officers, that we join them or they join us for them to see what the technology offers in the aerospace and in the space and defense technology. So we are opening the knowledge in totality to everyone at the point of interest. Now that we are opening this condition, we have to see what the changes are. And as we said, when you sign to be a knowledge seeker, when you sign a peace treaty, it took us time to put things in order. Now we start acting on what you have signed. A lot of you signed on the spare of moment to be part of signing something. You forgot one thing. The Keshe Foundation has a very bad habit. It holds people to their promises. We know hundreds of millions of people sign the peace treaty in response to hoping that somebody will bring peace for them. You signed it, you acted. We start a new cycle. And the cycle is very simple. The human race has been in the habit of eating, warring, and killing and being killed for hundreds of thousands of years. We cannot ask for it to be changed overnight and suddenly peace will come. If peace embedded in the structure of the humanity will understand it, sees the benefit of it, will carry it through. We cannot come and say we start peace from tomorrow. We have to learn what they call the true meaning of the peace. So what we have decided is very simple. We start learning what peace means and teaching the others what peace can bring. To this effect, if you have signed the World Peace Treaty and peace is your objective, it's time to act. What we're going to do is 21st of each month for next 3 months, we call it the Day of Peace. What this means in the coming weeks and days is your job to reach every army, every military, militant groups, radical groups, wherever they're fighting, to bring to their attention 21st of June, 21st of July, and 21st of August is to be kept silent and no murders and no killing. 1 day peace. And then it's your job to promote this 1 day peace in the next 3 months across the internet. I have contact with different organizations, I push it through. It's for you to make the banners, to make the advertising, to reach as many people as possible for 1 day peace. What this means, 21st of each month, we have 1 day peace. No war, no killing. And after 3 months, in September, we make it 2 days of peace. Means for 2 days, no news, no BBC, no CNN can announce, report no murders, no killing, no wars. We do this for another 3 months. And then we extend this to 3 days a month. And we make sure those days are remembered and is kept in front that these days start. I have access to most of the radical groups around the world through different means and contacts of different governments. We request from them to hold fire. How much we succeed, we do not know. I put my request to my Iranian government that they will hold peace in Syria, for 1 day every month. Even my request goes to this Syrian president the same. We have access to different governments, and we will exercise our connections. We ask the same through our connections to Russia, to His Excellency President Putin, for 1 day peace in Ukraine if there is still war going. We extend these through our private and direct connections with different governments. We are not hoping. Through years of business and international connections, I have direct access to most of these channels. It's for you to flood the embassies, the governments, and radical groups for 1 day fire for every day, 21st of each month for 3 months. This might not bring peace, this might not hold the fire, but in time they will join. The first day you might see no change. The second time it might be a little, but in 6-12 months' time, when it's 2 days and then 3 days of peace, we want to see which news broadcaster reports more killing and more murder. So to achieve peace, you need to structure peace. And we start restructuring. But you cannot just talk about it, but you have to enforce how you enforce it. To me, it's very simple. We have the technology, and only man understands technology when he sees it, understands it, and feels it. As a lot of you know, when we started the teaching, when we started the celebration of the opening of the teaching here in the Institute, we placed big bouquet of flowers around. If you've seen the live stream of the day of opening, you've seen these bouquets. When we finished, we asked the people who participated, if they want, they can take a flower home to remember. After about a week, there were still some flowers left. So on the 30th of April, I decided that whatever is taken is taken. Whatever is not taken and dying, we see if we can use the new technology to put life back in. So what I did, I took the flowers out of the same bouquets and I placed them in 2 containers in the lab. As you see, the date says 30th of the 4th, and as you see here, it says 30th of the 4th. We placed one in the natural process of water, and we placed the other one using the CO2 GANs only, as you see at the bottom. And then you don't need to be blind not to see. You see the difference. Every flower in this is dead, and every flower here is as better even than the day they brought it in. The change is fundamental. Depends on one side. It's not just one flower there. You can see it. There's another one hiding here, still as fresh. After when these damages were done during the 7-8 days when they were here before we put them in. You see another one here. They are so crispy and they are so live that you can see the difference. These were near the end, so you can see the condition. You can see the leaf and you can see the freshness of the leaves. So we have found exact and direct access to essence of life, and we can show it so clearly. If we have found the way to touch the life of a flower, why can't we touch the life of the flower of the fruit of the man with his children, with peace, with new cycle of life and continuity? These plants might last another 10 days, 20 days, another month, another year, we do not know. But these died about a week, 2 weeks ago. So this is a pure, direct indication of the changes to come through a simple technology, what you call it, a GaNs. I have seen people using CO2 in bands around the wrist for a man who has had a stroke and is recovering. We have seen people using different aspects of the technology to see if they can save their lives. So, as I said in the teachings of past week, in a space, once we don't have a doctor and we face life-threatening conditions, we make decisions of how to save our lives. We don't need permission from governments or authorities to tell us what to do, as they have nothing to offer. So the Keshe Foundation offers the alternative. Freedom of the knowledge, as we have done, freedom of peace, and freedom of exercising the knowledge to generate and enforce peace. I give governments a very limited time. I give the warring people a limited time. Starting 21st of June, we start the first day of peace. One person holds to it, nobody holds to it. We still go with the 21st of July and 21st of August. 1 day peace every month. So we learn that day we have to think about peace. The peace does not come between warring mongers, that it goes across the news to serve those who like to make money out of it. This peace should come in your house, in your work. Make 21st of June a peaceful day at work, peaceful day at home, peaceful day to live. Then you will see, you start thinking about 21st of July yourself automatically. Then 21st of August. Then 21st of September, we hold 2 days of peace. This way, not only the holiday is over, but it has to become part of the pattern of living. After 21st of August, if we do not see response from governments, I will silence the guns of the world in one strike. This is not a threat. I choose a time and I dismantle every weapon technology on this planet for time till the world governments realize there is a need and there is a way to live. This is not a threat. I have invited the Italian Navy and Army and Air Force to be present in these teachings. We will demonstrate the forces with the help of Italian military force. They are friends, they come in as friends, and if they do not come in to get pressurized again by Americans that can't be present, we'll create the peace force by man, and we silence the weapon technologies in a given distance as we know how to do. If it means to silence the satellite, there's no problem, it's much easier. If it means to silence the center radar system, there's no problem. But this does not give a chance to those who are the creators of war to see weakness in the structure. We do the same with the enemies. We have access, as you've seen, we gave life to a plant. We have access to your brain very easily. I said from the beginning of our work, man will not accept this technology out of its beauty, he'll accept out of the fear of its use. And now we have shown you the beauty of the flower. We give you time, and then you will see the fierce force of its application. We will not harm no soul, and we make sure when we interact and create total dysfunctioning of system, no aircrafts and no other systems will be affected that will harm no one. So peaceful application of the technology will be done by you and not by us. To this effect, we start teaching openly, as we have done. We open the doors, we show how you can block, as you have seen in the teachings. If you've been one of the knowledge seekers, a very simple system, as you see on the back of the computer or as a front. We have shown this before in our technologies we are using. I will create a dynamic system to absorb all incoming and outgoing of any communication from any satellite, any military boat, any military aircraft that they cannot function, to cause havoc. If they are used in a peaceful area, we do not touch. Whatever is used to kill, we will silence. We have the technology. We've shown the use of technology by bringing the American system down 2, 3, 4 years ago. It was shown in the warships in Black Sea. Now we openly demonstrate its use, and the interesting thing is, I won't do it, you will do it. We teach you how to build systems which protects you. Then does not matter what they do, they cannot reach. We bring self-defense for peace as part of the structure of the Keshe Foundation. I have used these systems in the past 8 months. Once I was poisoned. American intelligence officers who joined us, who've seen the effect of it, and now we open the door after 3 months. You have 3 months to start the process of thinking for peace. Encourage your government and others to go for peace. Bring peace to your home, and then we'll see where we go. I have no hesitation. My life worth a lot of peace. And I don't risk my life if it wasn't worth to create and cause peace. We open new health sections, health programs. We do not do it. We teach you to do it. Reason being, a number of you out of desperation have started using it, and some of you have seen the benefit. So we share the benefit with the rest. As I said, you open the door, and I teach the totality. I have seen a number of people on the internet, out of desperation to help themselves and others, have started using different systems of the Keshe Foundation. To this effect, from next week, we go. I have the support of Professor Uruzzi with me here, except Tuesday afternoon. We will teach openly the uses of the Keshe Foundation Health to everyone on this planet. It's you to take what you like, or you go to the Keshe Foundation division, which is for manufacturing in Omega Quantum, and you can order to purchase the system as you've done with the health pass. Next week and the week after, we have given ourselves time to show the beauty of the technology, that it gives you a base to work for 21st of June, first day of peace. I requested, and I put the request again, as I said, to the government of Iran, to His Excellency President Rouhani, to pressurize, and again through the contact of His Eminence Ayatollah Khamenei, to encourage through the different military divisions of Iran for peace in Syria for 1 day. I have direct access to these channels, and I use it extensively to encourage, to show Iran as a peaceful nation, and secondly, the application of the technology. I hope I get full support from my government, and with this, we bring one of the conflicts down 1 day at a time. We are not an ordinary structure teaching group. We are here to change the structure, and to be there, we have made a lot of allies over years. We have access to the World Bank directors as friends and executives of the Keshe Foundation in different continents. and we have members of governments and prime ministers and the rest and ambassadors as close collaborators and cooperations with the Keshe Foundation. I will exercise every way possible to start the process of peace on the international level, and in turn we bring militaries to show how effective it is, that it brings the other militaries to find out there's no use spending money on what is already wasted. I have access to a number of African leaders on a private personal friendship. I will exercise my friendship for peace, and I know we'll get a response from some of them. My call goes to the American president: enforce peace, or we make sure you get carried by the peace. I know I have a full collaboration of the offices and the structures within the Russian structural government, and the same with the Chinese. And I rely on these connections and friendships to bear fruit. As I said, this suit of scientists is only 15 years old, but the suits as an international businessman at high level is over 30 years old, even 35 years old. In that 35 years, I have built relationships that have shown the true way I work, and now I have brought it into the science. So it's very simple. We collectively start changing the ethos of living, that it can allow us to enter space, or we collectively end to the humanity as totality. The choice is yours, not mine. I teach freely, I teach openly, I show all aspects of it, and now you wanted to see, to believe. I will show you so much that you cannot have time even to think, to believe, because by that time you already have finished believing. So 21st of September, I give a chance to the governments to make their move. After 21st of September, satellite by satellite, ship by ship, aircraft carrier by aircraft carrier, and aeroplane by aeroplanes will stop. We announce it the way we did with reactor number 2 in the star formation. We deliver. I will bring in the structure in the next 3 months to make sure that can be delivered. To achieve this, I release the application of the technology in the directions that none of you could imagine, but it opens the door that enforces peace. And as you've seen, you told me, I've seen, I heard that I betrayed humanity by giving the USB stick to the world leaders 2 years ago. And then when I gave it to you, you did nothing with it. So you're no different than your government, just talkers without action. This time we act from here, and then you do the talking when you get touched by it. The teachings will go, as I said a couple of weeks ago, once our webmasters set the structure, totally free worldwide. Then those who want to receive a piece of paper to say that they got a diploma, they pay for it. Those who want to be here to learn physically firsthand, they pay for it. That it allows the structure to go ahead. In the coming weeks, you will see a number of demonstrations will be done. We demonstrate different applications. And in time, I will demonstrate silencing the guns. I give warning to the governments who are building these war machines of the most advanced aircraft carriers, the most advanced weapon technology. In the rush to kill, you made a fundamental mistake. 2 things. The people who build it have emotions, and your secretary is full of plastic and carries carbon and hydrogen. And worldwide, we have access to change the structure, very much create cancer to block or release that no communication line can be short-circuiting. I showed in a hidden way some months ago with collaboration with Dr. Elia Kostova, openly, deliberately, how instantaneously we stopped reactor number 2 in a star formation. Now, if you want, I will choose a satellite, military, not civilian satellite. We give it the time and the place, and we stop its working. Then we give a boat, a ship, military ship, each one from different nation. We do not touch one nation, and we are not biased in any direction. And then we carry the same with the aircrafts. This is to show that tools of war have no meaning in our time. I've given enough time. Now it's time to play. We play the game of peace, or we play the game of making peace. And we do it collectively. When we stop the satellite, it will be not done by me, but collectively, people who have built different star formations around the world, the same way as we did between Germany, Canada, and here in Italy, will do the same. By that time, the people who can learn will learn, and the people who have the fear that their money-making machine, war machines, will have no application, will make all sorts of effects. So, 21st of June is the first day of peace. It's for you to announce it, to enforce it in your heart, in your home, in your companies, in your nation, and from today I'll enforce my ways through different governments. As I always said, the biggest mistakes the governments made with me and my work was they left me too free, too long to publish too much and to teach too openly. Now they have to do something too about it as well. That's to accept peace and change the direction of making the war machines to peace machines. I hope we show this with the help of Italian military air force, Navy, and the rest. They've been invited, and if they turn up, you shall see. Or if they allow us, we go to military bases. It all depends how the request will be received. I hope I have made it very clear, but from today, the World Peace Treaty comes out of the closet of being a talk into action. You have to start thinking about 21st of June, what are you going to do in trying to promote peace, and what you do from now on till then, that the others obey the rules of God. Thou shalt not kill. This is what peace means. And when it says, thou shalt not kill, it's the first ethos of the universe. Thou shalt not steal. If you see somebody's hand in somebody's pocket stealing, you don't keep quiet. How come you keep quiet when you see somebody puts a hand in the life of someone and kills someone, and you stay silent? So, from today, World Peace Treaty is not the ink on the paper you sign. It becomes part of the structure of your life. Then it embeds in your genes, and then embeds in your RNA that peace is the ultimate goal, and then it allows us to at least satisfy the first condition to join universal community, which is a peace, thou shalt not steal, and thou shalt not kill. The teaching of, blessed is his name, Christ, had a lot of meaning, but the men took it the wrong way. Now we enforce it. As we said, the Son of God means the raise of his knowledge. So, I have made it very clear from today onwards, as is said in English, the gloves are off. It's man for peace against the war machines which have become part of the life of the man. When I was in business, I learned something very interesting from one Jewish man. We used to run a chain of shops. And when I went in as a partner into the organization, I was told that this director does not buy any knives. He would buy a fork, he would buy a spoon, but he would never sell any knives in multi-story chain we had. I thought, this is strange. How can you sell a set of forks and spoons but no knives? I said to him, this doesn't make sense. Take all the cutlery section out or add a knife into it. He said, I don't sell because some time ago in one of our chains, somebody went and bought a knife and he went and killed a man. So I don't want to be part of it, so I don't sell knives. This made an impression on me for a long time. But I thought, this is a way of control, because the guy can go to another shop, buy a knife, and kill another person, which everybody else does at the moment. It's not withholding the weapon, it's teaching that the weapon has no use and no application. I don't want to stop the selling the knife. I furnish the shops with as many knives as they can. And the warning from me was, the knife is for serving. You don't kill with it just because it's there. And the knife of the Keshe Foundation has two sides. It can kill, and the killing is the end of warmongering and manufacturing of arms, and the other side cuts to feed the fruit of the peace. So the decision is yours. I know both ways how to use, and it will be so harsh. The problem I give, and the reason I give 3 months to 6 months to the governments to do this, is to divert the production lines of military hardware manufacturing to producing peaceful systems. Very simple. I have been part of, as all of you know, in the structure of the after opening of what you call the Wall of Berlin. We worked as businessmen in the structure and the factories which were making arms and tanks. We made pianos and God knows what out of it. I don't see any reason to not be able to do that in Lockheed Martin, in Boeing military, in Russian military sections, in Japanese Federation of Arm Manufacturers, and the rest. So the answer is very simple. I don't talk from theory. I've been there, I've done it, and I know how to do it. And the good thing with it is I have the knowledge to enforce it. From next week, we openly will teach every aspect of the most horrendous application of the technology, that the fear of use of it will force governments to accept the peaceful channels of it. I will show you how you strip a man from every muscle of his bone while he's alive, using the systems you have. And I will show how I heal the most horrendous diseases through the same technology. Which way would you like to go? To heal or to strip? Don't forget one thing. If you have listened to the teachings of Keshe Foundation, every part of the body of the man is made of the structure, what we call a plasma, which is in a solid state matter as GANs. All I need to do is to change part of the GANs in given structure. Instead of conductor, will become a resistor, and the muscles of man will fall off like nothing, pieces by pieces. I'm prepared to show it if you are strong enough to watch it. And if the kitchen is too hot, stay out of the kitchen, or cool the temperature that we can all enjoy the benefit of the technology. I said, and I repeat myself, people will accept this technology out of the fear of what it can do to destroy them, annihilate them. And if need be, I will show that force. Depends. You put your hand in my pocket to take a sweet, or you put your hand in my pocket to leave a poison. The poison to me is sweet, but when you eat your own poison, you will not like it. So, the position is very simple. 21st of June is the first day of peace. It will be very difficult, and no newspaper will announce it, because the masters who makes the arms will not allow it. But we repeat it again in July 21st, August 21st, September 21st, we'll make it 2 days. October 21st, we make it 2 days. For Christmas, we do 3 days of peace celebration. And on 2016, we will show, if we do not achieve, the power of the technology of annihilation. But to show to reach there, if by September the governments do not start the process of peace, which starts in the International Conference in the United Nations to annihilate one nation, one country, one planet, in the opening of the United Nations conferences, we will show it by the day of opening of the United Nations conference this year, that they'll have nothing else to talk except what this technology is going to their nations. So you can see how we have calculated everything to detail. The United Nations opening this year has to carry the condition of world peace and the enforcement of the peace, and the Keshe Foundation will be prevalent with technology in these discussions. Not in the building, but within the structure of the force of the knowledge of it, which will surrender the building. I hope I carried the message very clearly, and as you've seen with the plants and the flowers, I have the mercy and the love to give, to allow a flower stays permanently green and beautiful, and at the same time I had the knowledge and the grace to allow the other one to terminate their life as you've seen it dead. To me, to my knowledge, there is no difference between the two flowers in the two pots. If it's the humans who want to act, to destroy, will join the pot on the right, and is it the ones who want to show how they can live beautifully, they join to the pot on the left. So the choice is yours. You decide world peace and start working on it, or I enforce peace in a very easy way. And you will help me to do it if you are the supporters of world peace. We will harm no soul, we will not damage no structure. We stop the use of structures. It's much easier. Destruction has not brought any credibility to human being, but stopping the process of war brings a lot of dividends. And I thank you for listening, and I'll emphasize on this again and again in the coming weeks. And 21st of March was the beginning of spring. The spring of 2015 will bring change for humanity. And you have seen the start of it, and we deliver it. So, as we say, the ball is in your court. You play, and we bat. Thank you very much. Go ahead, Vince.
Mr. Keshe. Oops.
Sorry.
I might have missed some.
Yeah, sorry, Rick.
ahead,
I thought you were trying to unmute, so I unmuted you. So then, yes, you could speak. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think we missed the last sentence or so of Mr. Keshe there, or maybe it was, was it okay for you, Vince?
Yeah, I only missed about 2 words, so everything was good on this
Okay.
end. But yeah, I think
Okay.
that there's some bandwidth issue there. Shouldn't be too much of
We
a
have the
problem, though.
recording here. You can pick it up from the recording.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Shall we get into Guy's presentation now, or is there some other things you'd like to mention, Mr. Kesh?
No, I think we mentioned enough. Let the man shiver in his shoes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Cash. Hey, can you hear me good?
Yep, you're another flower from the presentation of the opening. Now we're going to unravel your packing, see what you got for us.
Oh my goodness.
For this for 30 days.
Yes, I've been waiting a lot for this, and I'm certainly prepared for it. I'm gonna make it that it's gonna be a powerful little speech. If you mind me saying, a bit in the same theme than the speech that you just gave us. Actually, it's very much in line with the subject of my presentation, which is basically using science and spirituality together to enforce peace for humanity. And
We wait for your presentation.
right on, so I can start then. What I had in mind there was not much to give too much of a background. I guess this is part two. Most people know me. I'm Guy Thériault. I'm part of the core member. And I've been following Mr. Cash since a couple of years now. And here it's going to be my little share of for the knowledge seekers. And it's such an honor, basically, of being able to present my idea like that. I think it's a golden opportunity to be able to share what I think it's an old mystery that I can basically give my best hit at trying to explain for everybody to see. And it's about the Trinity, actually. And I would.
Teaching us?
Sorry.
Are you going to start teaching us?
Yes.
We are waiting for your presentation.
Okay, it is. It's the beginning. The beginning of it is start like this. Actually, it's a quote that I.
Image. Which is
Sorry.
You're showing us the image number one?
Yes, which is this, which is an object in space, and it's.
Yes, sorry. Vince, can you focus on one? Because we're getting one picture as a writing and a picture on the screen.
Okay, we need to stop sharing the webcam. I believe.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So do you see the picture pretty good?
Yep.
It's one of the most beautiful pictures I've seen from the Space Hubble. Actually, some of those incredible pictures that they pull out from space, and those are plasma phenomenon that basically puzzle the mind and dazzle the eyes. But it's just to introduce basically the fact that all my life I've been attracted to space. I think it's one of my greatest hobby was, to read about the science fiction and trying to go to space. And for this, I discovered very soon that it's not an easy thing. And I discovered very soon too that there's quite a big mountain called the Mountain of Science. And it's quite steep and it's quite tall, and I'm a little guy, so basically I've been climbing it since a couple of years, and I apologize if I cannot really do much science today. I'm here to learn mostly, but what happened to me was something that happened 20 years ago, where I discovered something which is linked to an infinity loop. And it's a spiritual discussion. And usually I do that one person at a time. I had in mind to write a book about it. And I think here it's the best probably public where I can share my idea. It's nothing new, really. I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel to anybody. I just want to read a quote here from Khalil Gibran, where he says, "No man can reveal to you nothing but that which already lies half asleep in the dawning of your knowledge." And I mean this quote here to mean that that maybe the only thing I may do with this discussion here is to awaken something that we all knew. And this is the goal of this discussion. It's to unite basically us in what I think is the fact that if we decide as humans to go to space, we're going to have to learn to behave, and to behave with the best of our heart. And how can we go in space and try to venture in those territories if we cannot do the same here on Earth? And that's going to be, this presentation is going to be for exactly this purpose. Basically, in my life, I consider two mountains, which was not to be selfish or to being good for my heart, and to be smart in my brain. And I'm blessed with a few experiences in the past that gave me incredible insight into spirituality. So I don't really need to be convinced about spirituality. Here I'm going to try to explain something about spirituality and Trinity that may be a bit shocking for some people. There's people that would just discard all the old books and all these wisdom books of the past as old stories, but I think there's a lot of little pearls in there, and here I'm going to try to share one of them. Basically, my whole understanding of spirituality and science revolve around a very simple statement, is that in spirituality, in most spirituality anyway, it's a phenomenon that is basically worldwide, the phenomenon of the Trinity and the many different philosophies and religion. There's some that don't believe in it, it's true, but mostly they're mostly all, which is an extremely powerful mystery in religion, and it's very mysterious and very deep. And then you turn around and you look at science, and the very first statement they tell you is that XYZ equal one reality. It's like that Trinity right in your face. And maybe here I'm going to try to do something a bit simplistic. Is I'm going to try to mix all that together and try to come up with a theory, if I can explain that. Rick, if you can put the picture 2 or 3. I gotta. Is that it? And I got another quote too from Leonardo da Vinci this time. And he says this, he says, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. This is from Leonardo da Vinci. And it's basically just praising simplicity. Sometimes things are right at the tip of our nose and we don't see it. And I was to try to, some years ago, to get into a spiritual experience, and it happened. And basically in the process of trying to explain it, I came across a very simple truth. And here I'm going to call it hope, faith, and love. It's basically from some of the masters of the past that describe body, mind, and heart as the three temples or the three seats of the body. But it's not only from the Christian perspective, because I'm not much of a one guy religion. I always embrace everybody around the world as long as they embrace love and respect, and I traveled a lot and I've seen a lot of people, so I actually got to even appreciate even more people. So I'm not much of a war person. I'm actually got love in my heart, and I'm climbing the mountain of knowledge, and I try to put the two together. And if I feel like if I put the two together, it'll be like science and heart. Those are powerful words. It's science and spirituality, science of love. Something that is so powerful when you put them together, it'll give you a third component that is more than the sums of the what created it. It's like mom and dad that creates the child. The child is way more than what both of them ever expected. You know, to me, that's the Trinity. It's basically a positive, negative, and then, ooh, that's electricity. Oh, okay, now I got it. It's the way you see reality. And here, my theory is that we live in a three-dimensional world. And those three dimensions maybe can be drawn out. And maybe I can explain or try to stretch the understanding of that Trinity that I found, and maybe get, some, on a piece of paper, try to put the best of my mind and the best of my logic to that Trinity mystery. So
The webcam on now?
yeah, this one I would like to get the webcam now. So you guys see this? This is basically, I signed that 2 years ago. I just wanted to bring it up. It's basically the World Peace Treaty that I signed a couple of years ago that very much mentioned about whatever Mr. Kesh mentioned earlier. And I really vow very strongly for this. I put the best of my heart and the best of knowledge to help humanity. And I don't know exactly how that's going to resolve itself, but I'll start with my little explanation of how I see an old mystery. So here I start simply. I got a little, do you see that good? Everybody sees this?
Not hearing a response, but I think it's going through okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. Here I got what I would call a scale of intensity and polarity, actually, and polarity and intensity. And I've got three of them. And I'm going to try to see if I can come up with something with this. But I just want to specify that the fact that I talk about three here, which I'm going to call, right now I better write it right away, body, mind, and heart. Those I'm going to call three-dimension, and basically it's like saying this is dimension X, dimension Y, and dimension Z. Basically, that's what I'm saying. I know it's a bit of a macho way of describing because it's very linear, and it described three reality that I try to explain that equal one. So basically here I'm going to try to demonstrate something in a very rational way that guys and scientists and rational people like I am really enjoys. And I know a lot of people like this way, but I got different ways of explaining it. That the discussion, depending of which people I talk and the way they are, and because I can basically bring it up more in a feminine way, which is the circle. It's when you use more like, instead of the linear approach, you more like the symbolic approach to it, which is very intuitive. There's a lot of symbols in the past that way more than that little symbol here that is very specific on the Trinity. And here I kind of try to bring a very simple fact the way we can see it. This is your head, Mr. Kesh, by the way. I try to describe that we do have a body, and in it we know that we have a mind in it.
Oh, I look so pretty.
Oh, I could have had up a little more hair. I agree.
No problem.
But I know I underestimated the size of your brain. This I know that for sure too. And the heart.
The nose explains it. Good enough.
Okay. And I agree that the heart too. I know your heart. You've been giving a lot, but I was trying to make the point that it's very deep inside of us that we have that thing that we call the heart or the feeling center. And then we're surrounded by a mind that is thinking, and then there's a body that actually acts upon it. And I'm going to try to come up with resolving that point here. I would like to first get into this here. And basically, I can come up with different people that talk about Trinity in the past from different perspectives, not only, let's say, the Christian approach. There was certainly the Buddhist approach where Buddha had the three jewels of Buddha, which was basically very much centered on having compassion, wisdom, and power. That's the way he described it, the three jewels of Buddha. There's even some very famous scientists that actually had that same approach to reality. We know the past, present, future, hell, earth, heaven, all these different things embedded in our reality, like the three wishes or the three wise men, or it's really everywhere. When you start thinking about it, I don't want to really dwell in it, but I just want to say that it's really everywhere. When you start looking for that stuff, you really find it everywhere. So here, I don't want to blow too much the gasket saying I invent anything, or I just want to say that in the past, the master used to talk about what was called the body, the mind, and the heart center, or the three houses, basically. And I would like to maybe introduce what I think I can understand from this. And it's very simple. It's kind of cute, actually. It works like this. I think I'm going to try to put a concept here that is everybody use the word, but we use it in very cheap way, I'd say, because we use it at every sauce. Say it's the word love. I can say I love my chocolate bar, and I can say I love my wife, and it's certainly not the same thing. So we know we're using the same word, but we know with certainly different intensity. So here I got my neutral point, which is a 0 point, and I'm going to call that the positive, and this I'm going to call that the negative. And here, it's basically something I describe about, it could be called love. I think it's the most common one today we use. I'm going to use it. It could be called compassion. It could be called selflessness. It could be, it's whatever it is, because you always think about others, and basically this is what I'm trying to express here. The side of the heart that expresses the best side of it. And the other side basically is the exact opposite. It just think of itself. It's basically, if I call that very perfect 100% love should be the love of a master, I agree. I hope you guys agree. Like the love of a person that did that all his life and considered that loving it's everything and everybody, no exception. And there's the other side that actually it's kind of a do not love. I can call it many different names too. But I'm going to call it ego to be very modern. And it just think of itself. It just doesn't care about others. That's the other side. And here I just want to specify that there's intensity. I got all these little bars here to describe that there's from 0 to 100, let's say. Minus 100, and this would be 0 to plus 100. So I'm talking about intensity and polarity. You guys follow me so far? I know. I hope anyway. Just be patient. It's coming.
We're listening.
Okay. So
We're listening.
it's very a childlike approach, but I'm very careful with that stuff because we're talking about language, and everybody has different language to express that reality I'm trying to describe here. And I'm going to do the same thing here and do the same thing. There are my 6 posts where I'm going to put words, and then I can go on explaining my theory there. But it's really very important that I make sure everybody understands that those words can be changed, and you can put evil, and you can put many different words that would more what the way people likes to hear it. But here, since it's very generalized, I do a generalized discussion, and I'm trying to describe 3 realities here, and one is it's from the heart, and basically I'm saying there's intensity. And let me describe this, and it's quite easy to describe it actually. I love my chocolate bar. I love it. I love it very much. I just got it from the store. I'm unwrapping it. I'm just about to enjoy it. And then something happened. Somebody comes, knock on my shoulder, and I turn around, realize the guy is a monster, huge. And it is menacing, is really angry. And he looks at me, he says, give me that chocolate bar or else I'll kill you. And you know what? I give him the chocolate bar right there. I don't even want to deal with him. I'm certainly not going to die for a chocolate bar. That's no way. Here, I just got my new car. I just bought it today. I got the insurance, the keys. I'm just about to have the key. Whoop! Somebody knocked me on the shoulder again. Oh no, not him again. And yes, it is him. And he goes on saying, give me the car or else I'll kill you. And you know what? I like my chocolate bar, but I like way more that car. And that really bothers me much more now. But I'm certainly not going to die for it. Here's the key. I got insurance. So let's go a little further. I love my daughter. Oops. I think here we're starting to have a bit of a problem. The guy comes and knocks me on my shoulder. And you know what? I turn around, and this time I'm thinking about knocking him down. I may just die too. But this time, now he's bugging me. And I really love my daughter. She's my princess. Who does he think he is? So basically I'm saying I'm loving way more. Here I'm putting intensity into the word. Totally different. And then finally here I would like to resolve that point. That would be the love of the master. that the way you love your own daughter, that is so beautiful, your own family, try to love everybody this way. Try to do it worldwide. Try to do it to everyone, even your enemy, even the one who bug you. And that would be that guy there. That's the type of love that he's trying to explain anyway. It's a love that has no boundaries, that actually it not only involve humans, but involve the ocean and the air and the planet and the way we behave between ourselves, of course. And then, of course, now I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say here, this is past the other side, the side of negativity, but it's shallow negativity. And let me explain what I mean by that. I love my chocolate bar again, but let's say this time it's my little daughter. She has the chocolate bar in her hands, and then she's enjoying it. And then the next door neighbor, a little kid, that really is a pretty nice little kid, comes to her and asks her a little bit of the chocolate bar. And her very reaction was, no, it's mine. I don't want to give you any. So I'm going to say this is shallow selfishness. It's not that bad. And you're going to maybe tap a little bit on the hand of the children and say, hey, look, it's not a good idea. Maybe if you give him some, next time he has any, you guys are going to share it together and you be friends forever, or else he's going to think you're selfish. So basically, I'm trying to explain a little, it's a bit of selfishness. It's not that bad. Yes, and we all know, I think we all adults, we all know where I'm going. And I'm saying that there's people that actually are amazing, absolutely incredible. They're destroying everything. They just think about themselves. They couldn't care less about anything around them. It's all to achieve their own goal. And they couldn't care less. And we know they exist. It's really hard to stop these guys. They're kind of very powerful usually and very, very dangerous, actually, I'd say. So here I put my little dimensional feeling, which I call the feeling part, which I call the intent. And you'll see where I'm getting at. The intent, we call it the why. So from the heart, why should you love instead of being selfish? It's called the intent. Right on. I finish with this, guys. Finish, okay? I just installed my 2 thing. I just put that thing there. So now I would like to jump on the next one. The next one, which I call the mind. This was powerful. It's the heart. But there's something underneath that is the mind, something that makes us the way we are. And I'd say the mind is based on curiosity. If you got no curiosity, you live in that little black world here. It's called ignorance. And this is my 0 point, and that's my 100%. Here I'd say you're a wise guy, very wise, like Mr. Keshe. Almost, maybe. Or like a master, actually, I'd say or a scientist. I'd say, it's very hard to say. This one is a master of knowledge. It's really in the mind. And I think that whole thing here we call science. And that whole thing here we call religion. That's how we deal with it. And we all know there's few people that really understand, but there's few that don't. And there's a whole, bunch of people in that church, and they all got different intensity, but they all try to learn that, though. That's the story. We hope that there's no people like that there. But here, it's about the same thing too. I'm saying in this dimension, which I'm going to say, it's based on the how. That's curiosity. When I know how, then I'm just a bit wiser. It's when I don't know how, I'm just a bit more ignorant. And I'm going to say, sometimes they don't want to learn, so they stay ignorant. And there's people that want. But the want is this last point. So I'm not really, I want this and that. So you'll see I'm coming to this. So basically here I'm saying there's intensity. This is what I call my two mountains. The mountain of knowledge and the mountain of love. That's my goal, guys. That's what I'm trying to do, okay? So here I reveal a big part of myself. It's my two mountain. And I feel like very weak. I got lots to talk about here and learn on the scientific part. And love, I'm getting better at it. And I try to do it all the time. But seriously, I'm getting serious now with knowledge with Mr. Kesh. I've never been so serious about knowledge in my life. And here he's going to tell me how. That's the key. That's the wise guy's going to tell me how. Then I'm going to climb up. It's a very sacred triangle that is the master that teach to his students the teaching. It's like the very golden triangle there. It's another trinity, we can say. And I'm trying, of course, to climb in that region. But I just want to say that, of course, there's many different levels. But I just want to bring a fact that the way you feel when you know. Usually, if I know how to do something, let's say somebody asked me to build a chair, and I never done it before, never ever. I'm ignorant. I may just feel very low in my little scale there, because I call that doubts. I feel very low and I got lots of doubts. That's because I don't know how. But let's say I've done 10,000 of these chairs before. And he asked me, he says, can you do a chair? Huh, no problem. You asked me? I got full trust, full faith. You see, that's a very important word, faith, full trust that I can do it. I know exactly how. When I know how, I got faith. It's when I don't know how that I go in doubts. So basically here I'm saying that more you know how, more you feel that confidence inside. You're feeling better and better and better, and more you're going to climb that mountain, better you're going to feel. And at the top, you're going to feel like the king of the world, that you know everything. But in the old books, they say, if you know everything, but you have no love, you're nobody. That won't serve you well. Never forget that we got two of these mountains, not one. One is the mind, and one is of the heart. And then I say that when you reach that level, you got a very high level of faith. It's almost you would do anything. You feel like you can do anything. Here, you feel like you cannot do nothing. You're totally stuck. Because you're stuck in ignorance. You have no way out. Maybe a little way out. That's what I learned on TV here. Sorry. So, no, we need to climb that mountain for real. It's a real mountain. It's natural science. And it's And there's a lot of bad science. I call it bad science. It's in this region here where there's misinformation and disinformation that keep people in ignorance. That's what they do. You know, when you hear let's win their heart and minds, like the American says very often in their propaganda thing. Let's win their heart and mind. What do you think they mean by that? If they win the heart and the mind, then they control the body. They know exactly. Then anyway, this is how it works. And they know, they're using it. Here, I'm just trying to empower you to understand that it works both ways. If you maintain ignorance, you're asking for trouble. If you have selfishness in your heart, you're asking for trouble. You're actually going down. The very middle line is right here. This is neutral. This is devolution. It's reducing in nothingness. This is evolution. And going into a big beam and a bright sun. That's where we're heading, in my view. But anyway, here I kind of give my explanation of what I think is religion. It could be said that this is good spirituality and bad religion. And here it can be said that it's good natural science, real knowledge. And this is all lies and fake knowledge, misknowledge that brings ignorance. And finally, I'm going to resolve my third point. This is my heart, my mind. Now, the very last one is the body. And the body, I say, is here and now. I want to say this because this is the time dimension, the mind dimension, the heart dimension. I'm going to call it the time dimension. And I'm going to say like this, sorry, like this one had a question here, why that dimension? This one has his own dimension question. This one too is going to have his own question. It's going to be the when and where. And I say the only when and where that really exist, it's here and now. For you and me, it's here and now. There's nothing else that exists. The future hasn't happened yet. And the past is past. It's all becoming blurry, actually. More we look in the past, more blurrier it is. And more we look in the future, blurrier it is. It's only when we get it close that we know. So basically here, I kind of put my appreciation of the when, the how, and the why. And I want to put another little guy here, something that a word that needs to be specified. Here I'm going to call it will and no will. This dimension, it's based on time. I want it. Do you really want it? So then when? Now. That's really wanting it. I want it now. This is really wanting it. This is will. No will is when do you want it? Never. I don't want it. So you can say technically there's people that think this way. Never learning anything and just thinking about themselves. My goodness. This is the plague of humanity right now I'm describing. And here on top here, I'm describing the solution for humanity, which is actually the will to be a bright mind and a pure love in your heart. What a great action that could do. This is basically, I'm putting, and there's the lukewarm, the people. You can technically say too that there's people that wants it a little bit, they don't have much knowledge, and they're very selfish. or they want it, but they're very smart, but they're really selfish. Or this point here, I want to specify it's called hope. It's right past that middle line there. It's called hope. Will, it's because it's pure. It happened right now. It's pure will. It's when, it's now. But hope, there's a problem with the time factor. When, it cannot happen right now. We got to wait. We got to allow time to happen. So we got to hope, not will. And it just get better until we got pure will. So I hope you guys kind of follow me a bit with this. I know it was kind of extensive a bit, but I need to basically say this because those words are very well used in history and those concepts too. And I just put it very simply here for everybody to understand. And as you can see, I could explain it this way. But now I'm basically, I'm ready to actually demonstrate what I meant by a figure 8. Now I'm ready with this. But before doing that, if you don't mind, I would just like to give a quote from Mr. Tesla. Tesla said, one of his quote anyway, was that if you only knew about the magnificence of the 3, the 6, and the 9, then you would have the key to the universe. And I always wondered about what he meant by that. Tesla always intrigued me for many, many years, and I read a lot of his biographies, and he has many things intriguing. And Mr. Keshe is, well, to me, is reincarnation in supercharged. But this quote, I took it as maybe trying to back up a bit what I was trying to say here, because I'm talking about stations, pure stations, ultimate stations. And I got 6 of them here, and then finding 9. I wonder if he was talking about something similar to this. So basically, I got all these quotes. I got many different quotes that relates to all these different symmetry, I'd say. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. And finally, I would like to demonstrate, and it goes like this. Figure 8, finally, there it is. I'm going to finally explain what I meant by that. How can I put that? I call it the Trinity within the Twinity for unity. So please let me demonstrate what I mean by that. But first, I would like to try. You see, there's many different ways of trying to interpret this. It's very. It's only lines on a piece of paper, and what does he talk about? I'm talking about us, the way we are built. And I'm saying that we got 3 houses, which is the physical, the mental, and the soul, the emotional. And maybe this is our very top here. This is our Coulomb barrier on the outside world, and that is the world within. So maybe my point here, I'm going to try to maybe say something like, maybe little Joe here, that could have a little more hair on his scalp, live in a 3-dimensional world. Maybe there is 3 dimension to his thinking and his behaving. And here, that's what I would like to demonstrate. But the way I demonstrated it's with a figure 8. I could put the little Joe. But what I'm going to try to demonstrate is something like a figure 8 that cross like this. I'm going to try to demonstrate something like this. And we all know that, when light crosses our eyes, everything kind of crosses in our brain and everything. We got the split brain. And so basically we all know there's a reality there that right at that section somewhere there's a crossing. And that's going to be my point here. And this crossing here is a very powerful one. This guy here, I'm going to put a little special effects. Sorry, I like to do it this way. It's almost like a plasma. And he's a very special little guy. I call him Now. Or Here Now. So, and then I say, that little Joe, that's you, little Joe here. That's your inside world. And I'm not going to draw the ears and everything. It could be terrible the second time. But I'm not even going to go there. But I'm going to try to explain that little Joe has 3-dimension inside when he thinks and when he feels. So that is my demonstration that I did earlier here. Those 3 guys, I'm going to try to put them here. So, my 3-dimension, the X, Y, Z, I like this one here. I'll use X right here, dimension X. Here I'm going to call it dimension Y. And this one I'm going to call it dimension Z. I know it's very subjective. It means nothing. But it's kind of fun for me. I discovered that recently. I thought it was a kind of a little joke. But here now, a cross really describes very well the here now. The Y, I'm going to call it love. Why should you love instead of doing the opposite? And yes, let me say this just to finish up my point here. I can, of course, dwell a lot in describing all this section here, the negative sections and all these points here about all the problem of the world. But instead here, I'm going to focus the discussion about the solution. I would like to talk about actually only the top, very, very top here. And if you read it, it's something like, I want to be smart and love in my heart. That's what it means. And I say, we can write it in the old way. Thy will wants you to be wise and have faith and have love. That's the old ways of saying it. That's the way the books describe it. Actually, in the Bible, in 1 Corinthians 13:13, they describe these 3. And now these 3 remains: hope, faith, and love. But the greatest is love, it says. Beautiful paragraph. I would highly recommend anybody to read that paragraph. 1 Corinthians 13 talks about love. If people are mixed sometimes, it's one of the most beautiful paragraphs in the Bible, in my opinion. But thy will wants you to have wisdom and love in your life. In your mind, wisdom, science, maybe, natural science, old sacred science, maybe. I'm very attracted by archaeology and stuff like that. I think that there's a lot of pearls in the past that we can pick up, and a lot of pearls that we find recently that scientists are putting together, where it's incredible. If somebody has the will right now and the knowledge, what can we do now? It's amazing. It's amazing what we can do. So let's do it, people. Here, anyway, I want to explain 3 phrases that's going to explain some sort of a something here. So it's to demonstrate at least if my idea works or not. So the very first one here, I'm going to describe something about the body. The second one is going to be about the mind, and some third one, something about the heart. So here, I would like to provide an idea to be able to test if my little theory can work, if I can explain anything doing this thing. Of course, if I say I want to watch the sky that is blue, it's not going to work in my little thing here. Because what I'm trying to explain here, it's the concept of thinking and then doing, or the concept of thinking and the action. And then I go on like this, and I'm going to have to resolve all these issues in a minute. Please don't jump into conclusions. But I'm saying here that we're still living in a three-dimensional world. And maybe somehow those are linked. So here I got love, I got faith or wisdom, and if you guys remember, if I take these guys here, okay, the will to have faith and love. So basically I'm going to call it here will. So the love, I said there was a question. Why? The intent. The will is going to be when and where. The answer is here now. And then faith, it's going to be the how. So when I know how, if I got the wisdom, I know how, I live in faith. When I don't know how, just ignorance and doubts. The why love, positive. In my little 8 here, I just want it so positive, all positive. So it's evolving, it's evolution, it's going up. And that's where I want it. That's why I put all these nice points in there. So I'm going to try to demonstrate my very first thinking here, which is I want something for my buddy. And of course, I'm talking about something positive here, not something negative like I want some poison. That's not good for your buddy. That kills your buddy. And that is a big lack of love. So it does not work. In my story, I said I use only love, knowledge, and my will. So basically, my will wants something for my buddy. I'm going to say, I'll give you the example. I want water. Simple enough. And why do I say water? Because I can say, I can use something else that would be negative, it wouldn't work. And my point, I'm using only it has to be love. So to want water, it's good for you. If you don't drink water, you'll die. It won't take too long too. It's just a few days and that's it. So basically, you got to take care of your body. And we're not talking about crappy water with fluoridated and all that crap stuff. And we have to think about that nowadays, but good water. So we're thinking about something good for the physical. I put all my heart and my mind as information from the heart and the mind to make sure it's good water and good food and good exercise. I can go on and on and on. But I just want to demonstrate this one here. I want water. So let's use it here. I want water. Now that's your inner world. So the very question is, why? Well, I mean, it's obvious. We don't think about that, by the way. We just act and the glass of water is right in front of you and you grab it. You don't think about that. But if somebody stops you and asks you the question, why do you need a glass of water? You're going to have to answer. And there is an answer. is that you take care of your body. You need to. That's the answer. Good. If that works, then the second part, before it's now, is going to be how. Let's say the glass of water is right here. How? It's very obvious. I just have to, I see it in my mind. I didn't move. I didn't do anything outside yet. I'm all inside. I just think in the how. How? It's very obvious. I just have to extend my arm, X, bring it to my mouth, Y, and then drink it, Z. The three axes. X, Y, Z. I had even to do an X, Y, Z in 3 dimension to get to the cup right here. X, Y, Z, again. But I'm saying that there's 3 dimensions to that action, somehow. So basically here, I'm going, I said, I want water. Why? No problem. How? No problem. When? Now. Now I'm moving outside. Now definitely now I'm moving. I'm outside. I passed the Coulomb barrier. I decided to do what I had something in mind. Now I'm pushing out. I'm forcing the outcome. I'm getting into a resolution. I want to do something. And basically, the point I was trying to make was that you grab that, let's say you have it in your hand. Are you happy? I mean, most people would say yes, but a little too fast. You haven't drank it yet. It's not because you have it in your hand that it's good enough. You need to do in your hand, to your mouth, and then finally the third option which is swallow, which is the very last. So you guys follow me so far? That was not too hard, okay? Now let me change the rule a bit. Now I'm going to test this theory a little harder. I still want water, but this time I'm a little playful. And what I did to you last night was to grab you in your bed and drug you somehow and put you in the middle of a desert somewhere so far away from anywhere that when you're going to wake up tomorrow morning, you have no idea where you are. So here, I would like to go back to my little thinking here is that I want water. Okay, no problem. I know exactly why I want it. Maybe there's a problem in intensity here now, which is, it's not because I don't know why, it's because I don't know how to get it. I'm getting up in the morning and I'm just looking everywhere, 360 degrees everywhere. I have no idea where I'm at. I really do need the water now, and I know exactly why I want it. And I would really want to have it right now. But here, there's a problem. It's I don't know how. So I'd say, if you don't have any hope at all, you're dead. You remember that little point I was saying? Hope. This is the very most important point. Without hope, we're all dead. We need hope. We need more than that. We need pure will. But it has to start somewhere. It has to start with hope. So I'd say for you, you better get up in your bed and find a direction, whatever it is. Just take your intuition into account and pray to God and just walk. And have hope. Have hope that maybe if you persevere, you'll find out how. And then when you find out how, it's going to get very much closer to the here now. But maybe first it looks like an illusion, like that oasis. And then you get closer and then finally you touch the tree. Then you know. Then you know. Now you have total faith. Now you can do it. That wouldn't be too hard, isn't it? And I say every time we finish an action, what we had in mind, every time, we're super happy here and now. That's how it works. I want ice cream. Works this way. I want a car. I want to watch the sky that is blue. No, that does not work. It does not involve any action. Whatever works with action, though, works with that little concept. As long as you finish what you had in mind. You had something in mind, you finish it in action, here now, you're happy. Here now, satisfaction. It always works, always works. As long as it's love, or else it's poison, then here now, not happy. But I keep my positive points here. So here, I'm almost done, guys. I just did two. I just did one, and I've got two more phrases. One more or two more quotes, and I'm done. It's because just going along with that little play of mind that I'm doing with all this, it's very simple approach. There's a few little pearls that comes out of that thinking, and that was the pearls that came out 20 years ago. I've been spending 20 years talking about this, usually one person at a time. This is quite extraordinary for me to do it this way. I hope you guys enjoy it so far. I didn't mean to bore anybody, and neither to disrupt belief system. This is only one way of explaining it in a very simple fashion that actually can bring clear ways of explaining it and implementing it too. So anyway, here I would like to bring, what is it here? I wanted something for my physical body. It could be some good water, good food, good, something physical. Here, my question would be, what is it that I can want from my mind that would make me feel good? Actually, I can say that I've been doing it for a few years, and it makes me feel good. I want knowledge. And actually, I remember I was a kid, and I was saying it, I must have been 5, 6 years old. I keep repeating that to people, and it was kind of odd. But I said I wanted to be wise. I was hoping to be wise. And I think it's very the best thing you can want for your mind. It's to be knowledgeable and to be wise. But maybe there's a remarkable experience that happened once in a while called enlightenment or the Holy Spirit, depending of philosophy or religion. But there's something that happened with the mind that has an extraordinary effect that's been described throughout history. And so I'm kind of curious now. Can I try it? Let me try it. I want enlightenment. Why? Is it love? Is it love to want your mind to be totally pure and bright and shining and all-knowing and happy and hugging trees and loving birds and just being connected one with the universe? Is there anything wrong with that? I don't think so. Not too many people, though. There's a lot of scientific mind that boo-boo what is called spirituality. And there's a beautiful experience in spirituality that is called enlightenment. And I'm not talking about necessarily the Christian approach, which is, I think, every religion on earth are like little rays pointing at the sun. and they're there discussing between themselves who has the best way to reach the sun, when we all know that we all looking at the same one big sun that we call God. It's all one. God is one for all of us, for every religion. So my opinion is that is it possible that in all these religion and philosophies they're hiding some secret about ways of provoking an experience called enlightenment, enlightening the mind? So I would like to demonstrate, I think, that I may have something for this. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but I think this could explain I want enlightenment. And there's something that is quite, just for your information, everyone, is the Buddhist is more of philosophy than a religion. And Buddha didn't believe in God, but he believed in the universe. And he believed in the beauty and the immensity and the infinite universe. He was very much, in my appreciation, like a master scientist, philosopher. And what is strange is that Buddha had something called the 3 jewels of Buddha, which was called compassion, wisdom, and power. And I tell you, there's power in that moment here. Buddha had something called compassion, wisdom, and power. I mean, I can come up with some of the real name. The way they said it over there is like the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, or the 3 bodies of Buddha. I can go on and on because actually here I'm just specifying about Buddha. But there's Zoroaster, there's the Christians, there's a lot of different religion that has this embedded into their secret books. So let's see if I can work with I want enlightenment. If I'm not wrong, reading what I read, here I call that a state of love. Here is a state of faith. Now, it's a state. I mean, it's a feeling inside the view. And it's an attitude of view. It's a strong attitude of view. Now, that needs to be expressed here. And here. So I say state of faith. You see, it's a figure 8. It really twists like that. So basically, I'm saying that those fields are the same, and those fields are the same. So if I'm not wrong, I want enlightenment. There's nothing wrong with it. The problem is that we don't know how. That's why we go see wise men. That's why we go worldwide in India and read in old books and etc. Let's keep going. What makes you not doing it now is that you don't know how. But how about if the how is that you just have to be in a state of love, in a state of faith, and connect with the now. Buddha would be really happy that I say that, because Buddha had something called the Eightfold Path, which had 3 jewels, and I think that it would somehow explain a lot of what they call what is enlightenment. And it happened quite fast. It doesn't take you that long. Just a few seconds. You just have to be in a state of peace. You just watch the birds and you're feeling it. You're really happy. And then nobody's going to disrupt you. There's nothing around to disrupt you at all, like somebody shaking you just to scare you away. You're in a state of perfect relaxation and love. The key is to think of the moment. Think of the moment, here, now. And I say, boom, something's going to happen. This happened to some of my friends. I told them the story, and then something happened to them. That was quite remarkable. The bounce of joy. Nothing wrong happened, but the bounce of joy for some time too. And I was quite surprised. What did I touch, I thought. So anyway, with this, I went to see the Buddhists in India. And I had tried to have a very deep discussion with them. And I had a very deep discussion with the Tibetan Buddhists. And I had some very deep discussion with theologians and Christians too. Because my point does not touch only Buddha. It touched basically everybody. Every religion, I think. But it's because I kind of assume little words that are very simple. Maybe I got an approach there that can resolve some of these mysteries. They didn't know how it was working. I think that's it. But here I would like to finish my point, because that was for the body, that was for the mind. And finally, my last point is, what do I want from my heart? And this is very hard, because the heart usually is given. So here I said, what do you want for your heart? Is for you or for something else? So I would like to bring this. I want to me, it's the best thing I can do with my heart. I want to heal you. This is the best. Or I want to teach you. This is the best. You see, this one's taking care of your body. This one's taking care of your heart, your mind. I want to love you. There's no higher thought than this one. It's unmistakable. When somebody does it by you, you cannot miss it. It's impossible. Everybody has shivers. My life has been transformed. It could be a teacher. It could be a friend. It could be a bum in the street. And he'll be the one to give you that lesson. And just to finish my little presentation here, is that I would like to take one example that I picked up. My master when I was a kid was Jesus. But I got to say that every religion has their defects. And I saw a lot of defects in Christianity. So I looked around and always been very curious about every others. And I became a therapist too in my past, and I got lots of different stories. But one thing I've been convinced though is that I will love for the rest of my life. It's something that I truly believe in, and I just have to become wiser. That's the mountain I'm climbing right now with Mr. Keshe. I'm trying to be wise and loving. And I'm trying to put it into action. And I'm quite curious about what we're going to do with that. Okay, and finally here, let's say I say, I want to heal you. Here I can say that I know a guy that actually did that 2,000 years ago. And we all know that he was supposed to be very pure into this. He was supposed to be very pure in love. That guy. He's not the only one, by the way. I can come up with a lot of old books. I got lots of quotes here, too many, of course. I didn't do half of my quotes I wanted to do tonight. But it's because there's too many of these beautiful quotes in the past that actually prove my point. But here I'm going to say that that master had no problem with this, and he must have known some sort of a wisdom that nobody knew. And then he got up in the morning and he said, action. I want to heal somebody. But first he had to find somebody. And here I'm going to give you an example. There's many examples in the Bible. I guess there's many examples in Buddha's scriptures too, and some others. They use the same. Buddha had 12 disciples. Buddha was talking in parables. You know, there's a lot of, he spent 40 days under a tree. There's a lot of similarities, odd ones, very, very odd ones. It's all full of mysteries to me. Really intrigued, poke my curiosity. But here I'm going to try to explain something that I think Jesus was doing here. Is that I think he knew very well about that, because Jesus was teaching in parable. And he says, I'm telling them in parable because I want them to see without seeing. And I want them to hear without understanding. But to you, the little 12, to you I will speak. And I'll give you. And you know, in the Bible, for the one who knows the Bible, there's many parables. But funny enough, there's only one parable that is explained. All the other ones are not explained. All the other ones are kept, he tells it, but he doesn't explain it. But there's one that he did explain. And it's the parable of the sower. The guy that goes into his field to sow seeds. So, anyway, my appreciation of that parable is that would be the fence. That would be the negative part, which is in 3 different levels of intensity. And the good side, which he says, that was good dirt and 30, 60, or 100 times the amount of what was sown. I think it talks about this. I think that if you kind of read the explanation that he gave to the disciples, then he tells you, if you have love, you try to give love, but you got a liar in front of you. An ignorant, a misrepresentation of reality, or a very selfish, or very mean, very bad people. Maybe people living in Belgium, maybe. And that really don't want to do anything good for the earth. Maybe then we're fighting something, all of us. We're fighting ignorance, selfishness, and apathy. And we just need to push strong will, strong knowledge, and strong compassion. That, I think, is the parable of the sower to me. But let me finish my little presentation here with my last thought. I think Jesus had somehow a perfect state of love. I think he must have known something. He was doing it, whatever. And then he goes out. And then he finds, let's say, that guy that was on the bed, that paralyzed. And when the guy arrived by him, he says, what do you want from me? He says, I want to be healed. Good. It's love. I want to know first, though. Why do you need me again? Let's say the guy would have answered something like, last week, there's a couple kids here that stole my food. Can you and your disciple go and kick their ass? Oh, sorry about that. I think that, nope. that's not for love, but sorry, I'm going to have to keep walking here. You're not the one I'm looking for. So first he needs to know why. But Jesus didn't need to ask permission, though. He just said to the guy, says, get up, take your mat and go home. The guy actually repeated a few times. He says, what? He says, get up, take your mat and go home. So my opinion, here it's an opinion, is that if the guy had faith in him, meaning that he believed Jesus or the guy, if he believed him, then he's forced to think, what, he's telling me that now I'm healed? That's what I'm telling you, yeah. I'm just telling you if you believe me. If you don't believe me, you're going to look at me and say, what, you're not supposed to give me some medication, or you're going to go in distrust? And you're going to be the other side of the scale there I was trying to explain. But let's say you're not the other side of the scale. You just trust. That's why I talk about very often, Dr. Elia knows about that. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Dr. Elia actually mentioned one of her quotes is that infinity loop is everywhere. And that's where I found it myself. I found my story there. And I really believe that Jesus healed. And every time he told them, he says, you know, he healed. It's because you had faith. That's why you healed. That's why you think of the here now. That's why it worked. It needed that in him. He needed him to have a state of love and a state of faith. And then he knew that he could make him do anything. And maybe have which I call a very extraordinary placebo effect, which is the effect of trust. Actually, doctors nowadays using this, and I've always been very puzzled. How come they use that all the time? They heal a bunch of people with no drugs whatsoever, but they cannot heal the very thing that they're trying to heal. They're not using the power of faith or the power of trust. It's a real power. It's a power, it's a scientific, knowledgeable. It's all based on knowledge. When you know, then you can trust. That's why, that's how it works. If you trust that it's going to work, it will. It's mind over matter. So I say, make sure your mind is strong and full of knowledge, and make sure your heart is full of love. And my wish is that you put it here now in action with me. We're going to change the world, people. And this is my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Guy.
Thank you very much, Guy. There is a lot of truth in what you said. And I saw some comments written. People came here to take physicality, that they can abuse it. Knowledge of soul was too hard to listen to. You got to understand. I look at this, what just been presented by Guy, in different ways than most of you do, and we all do it our own way. But you have to understand how a man can come to this point. You have to understand the state of physicality and the state of mind. When I got to know Guy, and when he was here, I listened to him a month ago. And in the past few months, understanding the way he lives and where he lives, he is a true passenger of space. He lives on a boat on his own, and is floating in the river of, or in the canals and the lakes of West Canada. He's detached from the earth, physical touch of every day that he's got to walk on, and it's literally like a spaceship passenger. He has no contact that he has to get up and go drive to somewhere. He wakes up, he's encapsulated his own spaceship. He's got a captain, a cat. You've seen his pictures if you've been around. So when you have that kind of time on your hand, that the physical feeding and abusing is not the priority, you find to have a lot of time to learn, to search the soul, and to teach the soul. So when you listen to what the way and understanding what is done in the past in his life, and where he lives, and the way he lives, this will bring man in the space to more or less the same conditions, what we call soul searching. What we understand, is there a priority for physicality? So, in so many ways, what we hear, what we have heard, will be on the table for every passenger of the universe. You don't have the cinemas to go to, and you don't have the football matches to go to divert your attention from the pains of everyday life. What we call, we take a break. You live with it. You cannot take a walk in the space. You're going at the speeds beyond your imagination, or you're in the ocean of the magnetic fields instead of being on the river. So, for those who don't understand this kind of understanding, this is good for you to look what the future is going to bring you. Plenty of time to soul search, plenty of time to understand totally that physicality is irrelevant. So, in so many ways, what we've seen today, maybe it was more important than all the teachings we had, the people who came and showed their reactors. This is the product of the reaction from the reactors. Independent, being on your own, and finding a solution to the reality of life. Or at least trying to understand the path of love for humanity. In time, when we come and we leave this planet, we come across the others of the same passengers of the universe, they will have the same kind of stories to tell us as we listen today. So, for those who came here to see a reactor to confirm their physicality, today was the wrong place and wrong time, because this is the eventuality of life. Those who think they go to space will be all hunky-dory. In fact, those who go to space found solace, wisdom, and they will see a lot more from their own weaknesses than they will see from the universe. Maybe what I see in the background, what is written in the chat, I see Brett hanging around. If he's still on the line, I have a message for you, Brett. Is he still on, or has he left?
I'm here. I'm here.
Brett, you heard our call for peace today.
Yeah.
Your associates and your contacts and the people you came here to the opening, they sit at the highest level of American military. As a lot of you know, Colonel Hankey gave a speech at the opening of the institute here. My call to you, in the contact with Mr. Mike Harris and Colonel Hankey, is the request from you as part of the member of the court and part of the Keshe Foundation Institute, Spaceship Institute, and our call for peace, for you to ask Colonel Hankey and the people around with Mr. Mike Harris and his programs of 5 million listeners a day to call in. Are we there, or have we been disconnected?
I hear you.
Yeah, because the camera is on. Okay. My call to you is very simple. Ask Mr. Hankey to ask the American military the position and the contacts he has with the military and the programs you run with Mr. Mike Harris as a producer, to ask that the American military to stop firing on the 21st of every month for the next 3 months, exercises or enemy. Then maybe we take the first steps towards peace. More bullets fired out of American guns every day than any other nation on this planet. They see themselves as peacemakers, but they are the causes of the war. So my request to you, when you manage Mike Harris program today for veterans of American war, ask them one question. Do we need veterans when we have peace? So if you can ask Colonel Hankey through the American and through the programs you run, we ask the Americans for the first move on peace. No firing of a single bullet 21st of June for the first time. Exercise or in open, and let them be open to everybody else. Do you think they can do that?
I will tell Hanky and Gordon and Mike, no problem.
Thank you very much indeed. Because if we can stop the Americans firing, half of the world peace will be there. It will be very hard for one day, but sooner or later, it depends on the Americans to build the pressure on the government that 21st of June is no firing day. It's the beginning of physical peace. I would request the same from my government and the Syrian government through our contact. And we speed the ones who are there to make move that day, they shall not be firing to either. So, it comes to one point. Today's teaching, today's workshop comes back to what? You put on the table the first picture. We don't have any pictures from you, Vince. You're just a surface.
Your camera's on, but yes, Rick can put up that picture, and there she go.
No problem. So, what it is, we start building towards one planet, one nation, one peace. And we'll enforce it more and more as we go along within the next few days, few weeks, and then on. The reality is, maybe we have to spearhead this ourselves by opening what I call peace at spaceshipinstitute.com for people who want to come in and concentrate on work. And in the live stream, we open a line for people who would like to participate and come up with different ideas to bring the benefit of the peace to mankind through the new technology. What I'm going to do in next weeks to come, I will show every application physically possible to show that the change is so horrendous that it's not worth playing with. It is very easy to get carried away, but as he said, I have the faith, I have the knowledge, and I can enforce peace. And I challenge any leader, any government, or any group to challenge the peace the way we set it up. Your names will not be on the pages of history, but the peace will last. We ask you one question. Ask your government to start firing, even for practice, 21st of June. 1st of May, we start work for respect for our workforce. From now on, 21st of June, 21st of July, 21st of August, we stop firing even today for one day. And then we'll see the peace dividends. Next week, if the condition is right, I will unravel the first signs of peace. Interesting is, I give you a choice. You're all scientists, you're well versed in the world of science. And we show the power. What I want you to do, go around, talk to your military, and amongst the different nations, choose one satellite, which at the moment is operating in the sky. I choose the date, I choose the time, and I'll silence the satellite. We don't want civilian, we want military. And if they don't give us a choice, and you cannot choose, we choose ourselves. But when I choose, I don't choose the weakest. I choose the most powerful chain of satellites needed to enforce peace. So, look into the skies, go deep into the knowledge on the internet. You choose the satellite, and I choose at the time of annihilation. Military satellites serve nothing but war, so there is no need for them. If they do not get silenced or be used for other applications to support human life, they're better not to be there. We do not threat. Openly choose Chinese, choose American, choose Russian, and even if you like, choose one of each that will be equally served at the same time. We have shown how we can and we have brought in a specific position, a specific time, small reactor with a high power and energy down. I don't think it'll be much problem for a satellite. And interesting enough, if you want, you can join us in this process. Complete as many star formation reactors in the running condition. And as we did with the German, Canadian, and Italian, which was the Keshe Foundation Center, we chose the time and the point. We collectively, in one of the workshops, choose the satellite will be gifted to us by the nation to test, to bring down, we'll do it. The beauty with this technology will be that we put the satellite out of the reach of re-entry, so there shall be no harm. So your governments have several choices. Choose a satellite. Secondly, you lot build the systems. And thirdly, when we are collectively ready, we target which satellite, and maybe we do 3 or 4 at the same time to have the pleasure that we collectively have participated in the beginning of the world peace. I'll explain to you why satellites. In early 90s, I was sitting in my office, and one of my associates walked in and says, Mehran, I'm going to invest a lot of money. I said to him, you're crazy, what is the investment? Where am I going to put more money in now? He said, there is this Jewish guy come in, and because the American satellites have no more use because of the Berlin Wall coming down, and there is not much tracking needed, there's a lot of surplus capacity in the satellite, military satellites around the world. And he has come up with a technique that if we can use maybe 3 to 6 of these satellites and pay the Americans, we can locate anything anywhere. I thought, okay, we'll listen. This technology has become the GPS of today. This Jewish boy, the guy who came and invested originally in northern England, set up the company. Most of you should know which one it is. And I watched. I never invested in shares in my life, so it was no use investing, but I became an observer. So the peace dividend of the Berlin Wall, part of it is what you call GPS of today. Because the amount of military space satellite opened up for no use became a commercial dividend for American Army. So when we create peace, there is no need for these satellites. So we can use them more effectively for purpose of peace and other applications which we need for the deep space travel. This time, we use them to show the power of peace, and this time we use them to show the expansion of the science. So, if you are busy building reactors, star formations, build them as fast as you can, that we are ready collectively to explain one thing to our governments and world leaders. The humanity decides in totality and not the few for benefit of their power and their pocket. As I told you, and I've said that so many times, the suit of the scientist is 15 years old. I know where to go, how to look, and where it is to be used and to look for. So if we collectively use different means of creating, then our will decide the future of humanity, not a few which sit in the palaces of crime. So produce as many gases as you like, find yourself as many coconut shells as you like, fill them in with the guns, and I'll tell you how we'll enforce peace in the coming time. As I said, we will enforce peace, but through the knowledge that the peace dividend will be beautiful, not for us, but our children, and for humanity. So, Brad, you are the flag bearers of your nation. You've been with us, with Colonel Hankey, and other high-ranking American military. So now, that's why you've been chosen. You are the path to the peace through the American military. So it's very easy. Go tonight when you go on Mike Harris' show and tell them this is what we are asking. Silencing the gun. American guns for one day across the world, not in wars, not even in exercise. Because when you exercise it, you have to use it. So at least there's a point of beginning. I will send the same request to my government, and I hope the Iranian eminent leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, will respond, because his decision is sacrosanct and above everything else in Iran. And then we most probably receive response from the head of the Safah of Iran in respect to the situation in Syria. And the peace will go ahead. Do we have anything else to see?
I don't have anything immediately set up here. Is there anybody who would like to present something that's in the chat?
Can I ask what happened at the end with our director of the Sears long presentation of last week?
Searle is the word I think you need there.
Yeah, we've been in communication.
Pardon?
We have been in communication. Did you check your email, Mr. Cash?
Yes, I've seen it, but it doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Maybe we can get
Do
a
we know what?
talk
Is he
after.
today? Is he online that he can come on?
I don't see him in the chat. No, I don't see him in the attendees list.
As you know, people from Sears, they came online last week as the director of Sears, and it has turned up that Mr. is still in a rehab center, and they cannot make any decision until he's out, that out of respect for him. So we have to wait that he gives his blessing to his company, and they can enter work. But by the look of it, they're too busy doing too many things.
There's also one more point in that email that I did see, which was that the owner of the company is in the hospital.
Yeah, that's what I just said, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I didn't hear that.
He has a problem with his breathing channel or whatever. This is a problem with a lot of scientists, if you don't know. A lot of scientists have a double passage breathing site. How it is, we do not know, but a number of world scientists have this. And it's very abnormal to see it in the ordinary people. But it shows itself in a different way. It's like a small lung appears in the passage of the breathing. What it is, I hope it's not that, or maybe it is because it's such an eminent scientist. What it does is that when you have your breathing channel from your nose, somewhere in the side, there is a sac. Somehow, and then this is your lung. Somehow, a lot of scientists or highly intelligent people has been found to carry this. What it does is to absorb different kind of energy at a higher strength, we do not know, but we know a large number of highly intelligent and emotional people carry this sac, and I think this is his problem. Scientifically, I can explain it, but this is what I understand from the patient quickly. Okay, the question, Mr. Cash, as we had a beautiful written speech for world peace, I never write anything. People here can tell you there was nothing written. If you might need writing things I do not need, it's already written for me somewhere else you cannot read. Mr. Cash, as we had, by the way, if you've never seen, my desk is very clean. I usually come in with the papers and I just write. I don't bring notes or teachings with me because the teachings of the universe is in my head and in my soul, not on the piece of paper. And this is the type of paper I always bring and I take with me. And if you want to see it, this is the note of today, what I wanted to tell you while I was listening to Guy. So, this is Mr. Cash. As we had a beautiful written speech, that's your problem for world peace. Do you also have written words which I or we can send to our governments, military, and media organization? Or should we, each of us, write down in our own words and deliver it to different decision makers? No problem. I can formulate my own text. I think, Kevin, you're still in the doldrums of humanity. Do not write it with a pen. Write it with your own soul, and they'll hear it much easier. If you need to do it, write it and send it and give it. But when you give it with your soul. You will receive the answer, not necessarily in writing. So it's very easy. Do what you like. Post it, as we said, on the live stream online, which will be opened by WINS, that you can collectively start the process of world peace as Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Then the others can come, the others can be inspired. We've seen the situation in the last time we put the world peace out. We received a very beautiful letter from the strongest man on this planet, His Excellency President Obama, justifying why he has to kill. And I responded in time. The people around me asked me to respond immediately. I said, no, I take my time. He jumped the gun too fast. And I responded on time, but I send you a message of peace, and you don't tell me anything about how to kill to justify your killing. And we published that letter worldwide. They did not like by the White House, but it's the truth. Actually, I think the White House has a wrong name. It's got to be called the Red House. It's got so much blood in the hand that it can never carry the color of white with it. More people have been killed by this in that house than any other time in the time of this planet. So one day, man will paint that building red. How can I ask one question? In the star formation, when moving the small reactors to the edge of the plate, does this have to be done all at once with the 3 small reactors? Or will this cause the destruction of the free plasma? No, we have tested this, we can confirm it. Even when you shut your reactor down for repair, the magnetic gravitational field connection stays. We do actually take our reactors off, we repair them. That's happened quite a number of times, and we see the build-up the same. We have stopped the gas reactors a long time ago, but they're still active. Actually, they were silenced in the Sensano in November, October last year. And they're still running. There's still the plasma when we measure it. See the field. The only thing is, try to avoid putting your hand or interfering with the free plasma area, because then you disturb the plasma. Take the reactor out from underneath, from the top, but don't interfere with the set of plasma as much as you can, because then you disturb it. Because don't forget, when one is running, the other 3 are holding position. So you can do whatever you like because the connection is there. What do you think about the 5+1 negotiations? It's from Mr. Afshin Saran. I've said my piece about 5+1. I've given assurances to people that I make my decision, and the point of view of the Keshe Foundation very clear in this point. Five plus one negotiations is to the benefit of both humanity and Iran and the 5. It's a disadvantage to 1, and that's Germany. I will explain this very heavily. We know internally, and with the information I received last night, that as Germany has invested heavily in the nuclear reactors as SCK, now SCK, with the help of the Germans, and again with the hands of the Belgian police, have cut one of my reactors open to prove that I carry nuclear material, and they couldn't find anything. Now they've taken a new action. And we've seen the pictures of this cut system proving that I use nuclear. Again, it's the same Mr. Hans Brackenier was trying to prove that I use nuclear material. The reactor has been cut into halves, and they have found nothing, so they start threatening others, trying to find something else. So I don't think Germany should be part of the 1, because they're instigator of, I think, another round of problems through different backdoors. On the other hand, we've made our point very clear about 5+1. I initiated, I built the support and the first level confidence in Americans that Iran can be negotiated with for a peaceful means, and we have seen where we are. We have received everything we asked for, and we have given very little. I don't call this negotiation. I call this a dictatorship by the people who are in power, and they are correct, and that's been Iran. Every point Iran has put in has received, And the only thing we have given is what has been the ethos of the Peshawar Foundation. We share our knowledge of the advanced nuclear technology. That's all it is. If you read the full structure of the 5+1 is, okay, we give you everything, but you gives us technology. Iran is sharing technology, in fact, to be able to get sanctions down. This is what I call highway robbery, hijacking, what I call mafia-style worship with 5+1. That's all they've done with Iran. I opened the agreement. I'll read it for you. You will see everything which I've said in the past 12 months, 24 months, line by line has been agreed. And all we have given is that we share our technology of plasma with Americans, and on the other hand, we reduce slightly the amount of enriched reactor materials to the benefit that will not create nuclear material. But as I said to the people of the power, do not forget, Iranians are one of the best chess players in the world. We produced highly enriched to show we can. We had no intention of using, and we gave what we didn't need to be able to open the hand of what I call a bunch of mugs. And they had to return it. On the other hand, as I explained before in the teachings, those who in the Senate are going to block or change the condition of Iran, any agreement with Iran, please, member of Senate and all the people around it, read the clean line. Your government played a very clever game against the Europeans, and sooner or later you shall pay for it. Don't forget, the Queen of England never forgives. You signed all the agreements with telling the others they cannot sign, there will be sanctions. You took the Cream agreements. You took all the agreements with Boeing that nothing will be signed with European Airbus. You took all the reactor technology developments that the Europeans don't take anything. You signed all the plasma technologies to the Americans that the Europeans and the rest won't take anything. While they are on the fear of sanctions, you signed all the agreements on the cover that it's just paperwork to sign. But now my call goes to the American Senate. Once the agreement comes into effect, between 5 to 10 million jobs will be created in the United States immediately. I want to know which senator in America can block 10 million jobs. And don't forget one bad thing. Most of these contracts are military-based. So either way, you will lose, but at least you create a number of jobs which, at this moment of time, no American senator can say no to. And this is what the other side in the Senate and in the lower house never understood. That's where you're going to be taken for a very good ride by a very clever man called His Excellency President Obama. He will show his card when you go to the Senate to block. Can the American government and people lose 10 million jobs? Or we go along with it and we guarantee nothing will happen. But don't forget, from the beginning, nothing was going to happen. So in any case, it's a win-win situation for Iran, and for Iran in every way you look. And this is what we set out to achieve. And I thank the Iranian authorities in their openness, and it paid off the way we planned it. As I said at the beginning of the discussions, we come up with a full transparency, and the full transparency helped us to get through this mess. It was not done out of our condition, it was forced on us, and we are out of it in a very beautiful way. The only thing we lost, which I salute their souls, is life of a number of my colleagues in Iran as nuclear physicists. Then those who did in Tel Aviv and in New York, their children have to pay for the loss of their children in Iran. Question. The sinking reactor sunk because the whole encased upturned star formation was rotated. Does it also mean that we would achieve lift if the upright star formation was rotated in one way or the other of the direction of the free plasma? The sinking, it has nothing to do with upturn or downturn. It's to do with creation of the gravity in the center of the free plasma. You can turn, you revolve, you rotate, as you've seen with a lot of fighter planes, or with a lot of planes, you can do loops. In time, you will do loops with the spacecrafts too. So the position of the reactor is irrelevant if it's upside down or it's a sideway, because is the field, mother field stays constant. So if you increase or decrease the gravitational field or magnetical field, it decides if you sink or swim in respect to the center of gravitational position of the center of the Earth. So when you build reactors, you have to go to the next stage of development of understanding the work of the reactors. And that is how, now that you built, you're learning, is how to control the gravitational and the magnetical fields of your formation. Because if you increase the gravity, you'll come close. If you increase your gravitational, the field forces will be repelled by the field forces of the Earth, pushes you up. But one thing you have to remember, in the process of testing, if you have built a system to fit in a frame, doesn't matter about the shape of the frame, you have to be able to create a zone that matter state of amino acid for human being at a given strength can be honored and be kept. Because if you cannot do this and your star formation reactor builds up energy, gravitational magnetic field, magnetic strength, which is beyond this, you might have a craft, but you will not have any life. So when you consider in sinking or swimming, you have to consider a constant field environment for the passengers before you do anything. We have a device. I have tested a number of these devices, and if you remember, I said if you add it to a boat, submarine, the size is less than a cricket ball. If you don't know, cricket ball is like a tennis ball. You can add on the body structure of a present submarine, increase the mass. All you're going to do, a little cricket ball will pull the whole submarine down. And you can position it and lock it. Marco has tried it. He hasn't achieved it yet. We have a submarine unit. This is why, going back again to the position of Iran, I said to my friends and colleagues in the Israeli Navy, where there was a threat of the submarine attacks on the Iranian nuclear reactors, that we can hold your submarines in position that they'll never see the daylight, and I feel sorry for the mothers who will never see their children. And the Israeli military understood immediately. So you have to understand one thing. You can create gravitational and magnetic field in respect to anywhere. This be it Earth, this be it Mars or another galaxy. You do not, this is what I was explaining to the knowledge seekers here last week, I think, or this week. You do not need to have a submarine. Your old Beetle car, the Volkswagen, or your Mini, once you add a system to it, is your flying machine. Because once you have, this is your beautiful Mini, the new one. I don't know why they call it the Mini now, it's bigger than the other cars. So when you put your reactors in and you create a gravitational magnetic field beyond the boundary of the car, your car is your spaceship. There is a truth in the old saying of a Persian flying carpet. You can actually fly a carpet. If you sit on the carpet and you create a gravitational magnetic field beyond the boundary of the carpet, where would you like it to be? You create gravitational magnetic field of Washington, the White House, front gate. Field strength today is that. You put it in your system, voila, you are. This is what I said for a long time. Now you start seeing it, and soon you will do it. It's so simple that you can make it out of a ping pong ball. Ping pong balls, $1. CO2 kit, $1. Plenty of old broken cars in Africa, $10. $25 maximum. You get the same old car because it doesn't matter if it hasn't got a window or frame. If you've been to Africa, you know what I'm talking about. Doors don't exist. Windows never been heard of in some times, and you get into a taxi. So now the taxi has managed to build a $25 reactor system. Now you get the Africans going all the way through the boats and coming on the rivers and the seas, and we pick them up as refugees. Destination, New York, White House, and how many Africans would you like in Washington? Total cost, you can get as many people as is like in it. They don't come to visit. They come to take what you've taken from them for centuries. The fridges are nice. Pardon? The what? Doesn't matter, you can get in it. It's India. In India, you get on it. In Africa, you get in it. If you've been to India, you get on top of the train because it's cooler. So you can imagine how many Indians will turn up. The injustices of the past will be paid for by us and our children for what we've done to the others. So the peace treaty is very needed very quickly. Otherwise, they will take every brick of the White House as a souvenir. You lot do not understand what is about to come. And it comes so fast that if the procedures are not set in order, Africans will have Rolls Royces and the Europeans will have Rolls Royces. But they all will live in peace because now they make for each other everything equal. You don't give what is mine, I will take it anyway. This is the law of Liverpool. Liverpool in England, the guys go, this is true, this is not a joke. They go to the shop and they say, how much is the suit? You say £200. The guy can't afford it, but he tested it, it looks perfect. He says, leave it behind the window, I take it tonight. Which means, you put your prices, I can't afford, I take it anyway. This is known as the law of Liverpool. So, you have to understand, we are about to enforce equality and peace on a justice basis. And the biggest problem is that internet and most of the universities in Africa have seen all your YouTubes, all how you make dances and everything you do, as much as the Chinese, as much as the Indians. The beauty with Keshe Foundation and the Spaceship Institute is we are all swimming as the same ducks. There is no difference. Knowledge spread is so fast and is so direct that there is no time to waste, because those who are waiting for a proof of concept, the concept will be proven when there is nothing to prove for. I told you, and I give you a hint next week, next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a lot of the knowledge seekers will end up in their own laboratory of their own heart to decide how they are going to achieve this. My American friends, if you do it the right way, you don't need to sleep in a hotel here down the road. You go home at night, enjoy your children, come to school the next day. Iranians have been doing it for 4 years, 5 years. Why not the Americans? If you go on the internet, look for a video which is taken by Japanese tourists in the city of Isfahan, in the center of Isfahan. In between the minarets, UFOs fly in the background. And they say it's become so common that the Iranians have got used to it. So we are already a space people, we are hoping to be. Videos, if you look for it, you can find it. So the reality is, peace is upon us, it's us how to bring it home. Knowledge is complete. If I get assassinated tomorrow, all of you have enough to fly the day after if you listen to the knowledge of your soul and not the physicality of your pocket. As you know, we just inform you that the Belgium security services have started a secondary attack again in trying to assassinate me. But boys, you've got a long way coming. The team has been dispatched from Belgium to assassinate. So, this is the job of Italian securities to protect. The first guy who brought the poison could not do his job. So, now we come to another condition. You will and you have to understand the structure. In the past few months, you used reactors of different kind of loading, and you have not understood the totality of what you're doing. You want to change that, always focused on that. No problem. You loaded with copper oxide, with water. You created copper oxide with water. You mixed copper oxide and then you mixed CO2. In reactors here, Armin became a little bit more, as he is, he can't help it. He's so impatient. He added CH3, and we had CH3. We have achieved a lot of power with no process. Understand that what you do here has an effect here. Then some of you very soon from today will add a new element. Fine. And some of you which go into the medical side will add blood. Then you have to understand the condition you create in your reactors creates environment in your free plasma, which is field is a negative and is a confirmation of what you have loaded. And if some of you have become clever enough, I haven't seen anybody yet, but you better start looking. This is at the moment where you cannot create any gravity up to now. When you're putting your systems, when you're adding the material, due to interaction of gravitational magnetic field, you're locking your system. Energy released, but one layer does not slide over other layer to create two different kind of magnetic fields. You have created a magnetic attachment between the layers. You're feeding all the free plasmas, which is not needed, into the center, but you have not managed to dictate the gravitational magnetic field level. That's why you're not flying. I told you the gloves are off. It teach you so fast that you all fly, you'll all be in the White House tomorrow morning. It depends who wants to call himself president first. So why you have not, and you cannot see any left, because everything has got a gravitational magnetic field locking. In a deuterium, you have two direct structure of the plasma of a proton and plasma of a neutron. Depends on the strength of which you dictate the condition of interaction. have to now start looking for physical interaction. You have to be able to, exactly as it happens in the structure of the sun, create plasma layers that slide over each other, and in sliding over each other, they create different plasma strength, and this interaction gives you gravity and magnetic field at the same time. Don't forget you are using ganses, which are individual. So in each lever, you have millions and millions and millions and millions, which this is north, this is south, this is north, this is south, this interacts with this, but repels this. So this creates a magnetical, this creates the gravitation of the layer in respect to each other. The back door. And then you have the same structure here, and then you have in and outs, which now the totality of this field will interact with this, and the totality of this interact with this. So you create a huge, powerful gravitational magnetic field like the sun. If you understood the structure of the proton and neutron in the deuterium as I explained, then now you have one massive plasma to handle. You increase the center, you increase the gravity, you increase the external, you increase magnetic field. If you understood this, by next Thursday, at least one of you should be able to fly, to show us a flying system. This is what you have not managed to do. All the layers which have been put in the reactors, they have all been locked and sandwiched in. They're like this. You need the freedom to slide. Find a gapping material. Then when CO2 moves, copper oxide moves the other according to the field forces, you're dictating the motion, magnetic fields will create their own gravity. Good morning, Marco. Are we lost? Do you understand? You got it in the lab. You pass it every day, at least 3-4 times. It's sitting so close to you that you have not seen it. You're so used to it that you don't consider it. I tell you a story. This is a true story. Go in the British News, you'll find out. Years ago, they were looking for #1 criminal in England. Do you know where they found it? The guy was very clever. He bought a house and lived right opposite the main police station. And every morning he said to the officers, good morning. But it was so obvious I never considered. One day somebody, isn't this guy we're looking for? He's sitting with you. You pass it in the lab every day. If you have tested the Coca-Cola bottle, you have already made it the first day. Does it ring a bell? Come here, I tell you in your ear. You have to understand. Have you lost the picture? Whence? Can you show the big picture then? Hello. We don't see the picture on the main screen, so we don't know where you are. I'm frozen in time.
Oh, okay. Check your computer then. Marco, can you just check that connection, please? Might need to just
Okay.
stop that webcam and start it again.
It's the main camera which is gone.
No, main camera's good here.
Okay, so you can see it, no problem, because we can't see it here. So what is important is that you start understanding magnetic separation. If you can do the magnetic separation in your layers, your copper oxide goes that way, your CO2 goes that way, your CH3 goes that way, your metal goes that way, and then this and this will support that one, this and this will support this one. You build up a huge, huge gravitational magnetic field, and if you can put your finger in it, you will be sparkling with energy. This is one thing. Now we push to the next step. We need at least 10 flying objects by different Keshe Foundation supporters around the world by latest 15th of June. I will not support you, but I'll try to make it as much as possible, easy as possible to make one. And if you get magnetic plasma burn, I will send you the medicine of love for it. It will heal it very fast. You have to push for this separation. Look how in the muscles of the man, in your body, separation is created. I touched on it this week in the teachings. Pardon? Pardon? With a lamb chop. Bravo. With the lamb, if you haven't been on the teachings, you haven't seen the lamb chop. We usually bring a live lamb here. We feed it.
Can I say it,
When
Mr.
we finish
Kesh?
with it, we have lamb chops.
Can I say it?
What, the lamb?
No, can I say what you're
No,
referring
no,
to?
no, no. Not the lamb. We keep it at home. But you've seen the lamb chops. The magnetic gravitational separation is part of the structure of the operation of the GANs and the plasmas.
Just like on what's on top of our buckets.
No. The Americans have cracked it. They are discussing it across the table. She's throwing the ball, and he says, I don't know yet. Pardon?
Oil.
And they say the oil in the skin. In a way, yes, it is the oil of the skin, but you try to find an oil which goes between the gaps. Because if you use a human oil, it will come into the water, most probably. Or will sit somewhere here.
How about the amino acid?
Pardon?
How about the amino acid?
Yeah, that's what you Canadians think the same as the Americans. They just said the skin, the oil, and now you said amino acid. It's much easier than that.
Much easier.
What? You found out? Marco? He's smiling, he's gone red, he's running around the classroom.
Marco, please
Yes,
share.
I'm laughing.
I think he's playing baseball, all four corners, he's touching every point. Now he's landed, let's ask him the question. What was it? You found out? Not yet? No? Good. So, now, if you can achieve this, you have replicated the structure of the sun. Then you decide the gravity and magnetic field in the free plasma. Then you decide, without any motion, the size, the strength, the depth of the field, you put it in a mini or you put it in an aircraft carrier is irrelevant. Then it covers the totality, the inside becomes a mass of its own, and it has nothing to do with its environment as Earth is in the plasma of the sun. Then you decide where the good summertime holidays are. Or you say this time, much easier, leave it behind the window, I take it when I'm there. Now you understand a very harsh truth. The strongest safes in the central banks worth zero. If you can find the gravitational magnetic field of central banks, you're all welcome to take it. But the most stupid question is, now you know how much to do. Do you need that little amount of gold in the Central Reserves? Because you can make yourself more of it. So there is no need to empty the central banks like in Holland and like in what they call spring uprising. In the next few weeks, I give you time. You have till August. After August, we make a different way. But a lot of you who've been very heavily involved in testing, if you understood this, you understand this, and I'm sure one of the first ones should be Rick. Rick is very much on the right track. He doesn't unravel, doesn't break up. And I tell you one thing, none of you need to be nuclear physicists, and you've got to be a very good kitchen housewife. Housewives will fly before the nuclear physicists and the astronauts because they work with it every day. Not really. So that's what I said. This is the beauty of this technology. It's idiot-proof, and as I said to the top director of IMEC, a black man in the back of villages of South Africa can do the same thing as a scientist, a professor like him sitting across me. Because the man in Africa is closer to physicality and reality. He lives in cuckoo land. Housewives will fly before the professor husbands. Now, this is a very big problem because a lot of men are going to resign and go in the kitchen. They become house husbands.
Well, I know my housewife uses salt a lot.
Are you a housewife or are you a house husband?
No, I'm not the house husband yet.
Not yet. Oh, I'll give you a new job. So, you've got to think what you have. You have achieved, you have come a fraction of the way to build the first flying system. A lot of you are on the brink of it, but you don't see it. A lot of you have been, you missed it because you didn't pay attention. I reckon it must be at least 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 reactors around the world, people making everything. And I think a few can achieve it. You don't need advanced technology. You don't need vacuum system. If you have a vacuum system, you get a better result. You spend so much money in high pressure vacuums for nothing. Huh? 11,000 euro gone down the chute. That's what I paid for my vacuum system after the American government accepted that I can't have one, but I found a way to get it, but I got it. So, if I tell you the jokes I've been through, it makes you cry. So, next, let's say 45 days, no, actually 3 times, I haven't been to school yet. You got to May, June, July. Next 120 days, is it definitely gone finished? Next 120 days, at least, minimum, 100 systems should be flying. And then, you understand, when I speak about the satellites, friends will do it for you without you doing a thing. That's what the friends are for. I have spread the knowledge so deep across that so many people will do it. There's no way to stop. If you understand it, all of you, even though, as I said yesterday in teachings, you've been the passengers of a space, but you ignored it because you sit on a planet which is revolving in a universe, now you can get out of the cage. Have you ever played Monopoly? They give you out of cage, out of jail, free pass. Your free pass is open now. Get out. Sit in your kitchens, sit in your shelf. You live with it, you die with it, and if you don't believe it, Marco did a test this week. Can I speak about it? Is it okay? Marco did a test. You put a plate and you put a wire with the bits of wire sticking out of the plastic. After he finishes the test, he says, there is a problem. This has disappeared. This is plating. Not knowing that he has actually created the guns of the wire itself while he was there. So what does this mean? Don't look too far. If you have a piece of wire in the wall, you don't use it from the bed to the ceiling, it's too old, take it out, you can make your own spaceship. So you don't need much. You don't need to go and buy yourself a copper plate. The whole object of copper was to create a GANs that you could feed your system. Now you know there are different ways. I think if you have a meter of copper wire in the house in the wall, which goes to a side lamp, I think it's better used if you use it to make your own flying machine or your energy system, because that will give you energy for the rest of the life of the house than just sitting there one day at night when you want to see the watch, you just put it on here, put it go. So the part of the mystery is your own ignorance, is finding a material that allows magnetic field motion, but in a free space of magnets. What does this mean? The material should be good going that way, this way, going that way, this way. And does not magnetically lock the two. No, serious. Have you got it yet? It's called nanomaterials. One of the ways. One of our friends in the test in past few months has shown us a very beautiful testing. It says, actually, the stupidity of it was the Japanese have done the same thing in Fukushima, but they couldn't see it. I had to explain to them. Now I explain to you because you've seen it here. You made the guns of zinc, copper oxide, whatever. Yeah? Then a clever guy who actually sits in the United States, Emmanuel, came out. If you add vinegar to this, gas dissolves, destroys the gas. But what I said to him and to the other ones which are following, look at the bottom of the pot. It's all black. Certain type of vinegar, certain type of acids, depending on the gas, takes the matter state back from a plasma to matter gas state. Wolves with wolves, dogs with dogs, but in different layering. Now you have a copper oxide, no copper oxide. You have CO2 in the matter state. Don't forget, when you have the wires nano-coated, you could not weld them, you could not twist them, you cannot do anything with them. This is how the gans of blood move so fast in the gans of the muscles of the heart and the vein. Nanolayers. I've taught this so many times in all my teachings. You're all deaf. Yeah, you wrote it, but you don't understand it. It's no good. So try. This is one of the ways, but if you don't get it right, if there is a gap, they lock. You get an MS, or you get, no problem, full transmission of nerves. So one of the ways, actually this is the hardest way. I always give you the hardest because then you enjoy it when it's the easy way. What do? Get ready, put your clothes on. You're all invited for dinner at the White House and the Kremlin. Because if you know this, you choose where you're going to have your dinner. Because by the time they catch you, you can go to the other house. Go from Washington to New York, go back to Kremlin, and then go to Beijing for dinner. You can have starter in one, main course in the other, and dessert in the other, and none of them will ever know you've been there. CO2, this is your reactor. You put that little thing in. We all know you had this ring. Correct? Understand two things. Main part of physics. Vacuum, atmospheric, rotation. When you have atmospheric, the heavy sinks, the light goes up. When you have vacuum, the heavy goes up, the light goes to the center. And strange enough, is the same with centrifuge. Then you have a CO2 or whatever. Then you put a nano layer somewhere. Understand this. If you don't understand this, you will not be achieving anything. Then you put your copper oxide, and then you put CH3. I got the colors right this time, huh? But this is white. I can't show it. There we are. You understand? So now you have 3 reactors, and now imagine what happens. Don't forget, each strength gravitational magnetic field interacts with zone. This is a law of plasma. You cannot mix iron with copper. In the gravitational magnetic field plasma, separate strength stay separate. That's why you get layering in the stars. Otherwise, everything will be to the center. So, this is what I explained to you in the past couple of weeks teaching, that between different layers of solar cell in the structure of the star, there is a place where there is a separation. And there's always a state of matter strength in that interaction. The Earth gravitational magnetic field, the stronger the sun magnetic, because the strength goes to the center in the plasma. The interaction here gives you nitrogen. And this GaNs of nitrogen separation allows the lubrication of the flow of the field. So, if nobody flies by next week, we shut down the institute for 1 minute. No, 1 minute, 1 minute. It means you have a minute of silence to pray for your soul, that you might get enlightened. So now you create the plasmas, which now the gravitational magnetic field dictate the rotation. And you soon will find out this guy will decide to go that way. Interaction of the fields. You've got both gravity because this and this are in the same direction, and this is opposite. Here you create the magnetical. Here you create gravitational. And you've got your flying system. But this is a very old-fashioned. At least if you learn this, we can go to the next one. I don't give you a Rolls Royce to test first. Test on a Mini. When you pass your driving license, did Daddy give you a Rolls Royce to drive in, or you bought your old banger and says, run it in, at least you bang it, you learn it. That's what my father did, and he was right. It took me 3 days to run the first car into the garage. Not very clever, but I did. Learn, understand. I am not teaching you anything new. I'm going in more depth to understand the totality. If you look, I put these together, but in different bits. I've already been teaching you all these days. It took a lifetime to build the Rome, and in 13 days I made scientists out of you lot, but you didn't realize it. Whatever I've taught you in past 13 days here in the teaching room is enough to take man out of this space, if you understand all of it. The health, the energy, the material. People tell me you don't teach enough. You are blind to it. I've taught you the science of the universe, but you don't see it. You are all graduated in less than 13 days, but you are blind to it. If you listened, this is getting too hot here, am I correct? Aren't you too hot? Are you too cold? Windows are open. When the windows are open, airco doesn't work. This is the program on it. When you open it, even though you think you get a cooler air, the system locks itself. So, you'll find out very rapidly that you have all the knowledge to create lift and motion. And you have all the knowledge in your hand as collectively, even as a core team or the knowledge seekers, to force peace in one go. You'll be very amazed why we chose the satellites. The most advanced ships use military satellites for all their communication and position. The most advanced aircrafts do the same. When you take the control out, goodbye to the rest. You don't harm nobody on this planet, but you take the brain out. Dead man walking. You understand? As I keep to the ethos of the foundation, not one soul will be harmed by this technology. So, Your Excellency President Obama, Your Excellency Mr. Putin, you have 120 days to start the process of world peace. Otherwise, we'll try it ourselves. And I keep on going to teach you one thing. If I have the knowledge to keep that leaf alive and make this die, I have the same knowledge for the man. You choose the body. You can have the physicality with no soul in it. Peace starts from today, and very soon we'll enforce it through science and technology in the hand of every man that no man can abuse. Now, the shame will be SSI to be the last to fly. And the burden of this sits on the shoulder of, not me, I'm not there, I'm not SSI. Marco. And Armin. Have you noticed, you too? You want me to write it bigger? Mr. A back to front, and Mr. A in the middle. As I keep on telling you, if you thought you are here because you paid a fee, you've got a long way coming. We have chosen you, and we do our jobs through you. So please don't make SSI the last one. Our less Chinese noodles. So, what do you mean? I spoke with him. Sohail says he's testing everything. He says he's giving him a variety of food. The problem is teaching him how to use a chopstick. All he knows. So, go back and look at the cross-section of your reactor. You should have flown from day one, but none of you wrote nanomaterials or a condition of separation between layers. That's why everything is stuck. Your strength is limited. Because as these rub against each other, they release more fields, much rapid interaction. You should see beautiful things.